On the third garbage dump of lunch, compacted cubes of metal waste lay neatly piled in the open area formed by compression robots. As far as the eye could see, the dump was filled with mountains made of such cubes. Beneath the waste transport chutes gleamed pairs of pitch-black eyes. This time I must keep an eye on that sly kid Wang Dang. A dark-faced youth clenched his fists tightly, staring fixedly at several garbage chutes ahead while constantly glancing sideways at another boy not far away. That boy was the best dressed among the group. More than dress, it was cleanliness. He wore a faded blue vest and a pair of whitened jeans. Wang Dang, like everyone else, stared intently at the two chutes before him without blinking. The garbage in No. 3 dump came from spaceships of higher-grade planets. Given the extravagant lifestyle of higher-grade planets, the value of this trash was not to be underestimated. It was said that a scavenger once snatched a computer-class mech chip from this dump. He instantly became a winner in life, moving his entire family off lunching that very night to retire on a higher-grade planet. Of course, that was 100 years ago, otherwise such scavenging opportunities wouldn't have been left for them. Scavenging was a skilled trade, and despite Wang Dang's calm exterior, he was actually in a state of extreme tension. From the moment trash poured from the chutes to the arrival of compression robots, there were only 5 minutes. So they had to swiftly lock onto what they needed the instant garbage fell, while also guarding against grabs from others. Someone like Wang Dang, a garbage king known for picking bargains, was naturally the bullseye of the entire dump. Everyone watched his every move. 5, 4, 3? Wang Dang counted down in his mind. When he reached 1, the doors of the 2 airborne chutes opened and trash poured from both sides. All eyes rolled up and down, scanning the falling garbage for valuables. Wang Dang was no exception. He had already locked onto the valuable items on both sides. A fierce inner struggle raged within him. Pipe No. 1 held a limited edition robotic crab, a toy only affordable by the rich and powerful on higher grade planets. Its star energy chip could interface with most spatial rings on the market. But he couldn't guarantee that chip inside was intact. Such star energy chips were extremely complex inside. Even if he could repair it, the cost was beyond his means. In Pipe No. 2 lay a glossy mech plate that could be sold immediately for cash. But its value was nowhere near that of the star energy chip. Should he take the safe mech plate or gamble on the robotic crab, risking empty hands? In a flash, Wang Dang gritted his teeth. He'll gamble. A gambler can't lose every day. The moment the chute stopped pouring, Wang Dang dashed toward Pipe No. 2 with lightning speed. His move triggered a stampede. Everyone swarmed toward Pipe No. 2, abandoning their own targets. After all, Wang Dang was famous for his scavenging skills. He blocked a middle-aged man's punch with his left arm, then sidestepped a dark-faced youth's elbow strike. Without looking away, he sprinted toward Pipe No. 2 with the crowd hot on his heels. Quick, heads going for the mech plate. A chubby man at the rear shouted to his companions. He was slower, so he chose to observe Wang Dang's moves from behind. Hearing the shout, others surged even harder. A burly man lunged at Wang Dang's back. But Wang Dang seemed to have eyes in the back of his head. He dodged the attack in a flash. Using the momentum, he abruptly changed direction and sprinted toward Pipe No. 1? He snatched the robotic crab from the corner, stuffed it into his satchel, and vanished like greased lightning, leaving only a cocky back view. If not for his eagerness to check the chip, he would have definitely wiggled his hips and flipped a few middle fingers before leaving. That kid. The burly man stopped, looking at Wang Dang's back with a wry smile. Almost a mech warrior himself, still scavenging with us. This time he didn't taunt us. He must have hit the jackpot. The chubby man caught up, his expression complicated. Pa. The dark-faced youth spat resentfully in Wang Dang's direction. If his teachers and classmates knew, they'd laugh him to death. Enough, pick up what's left and scram. The supervisor's coming and we'll be in deep trouble. A thin old man approached the crowd, still staring at Wang Dang's back. That lad won't be scavenging anymore. The Imperial Military Academy branch is about to open. From now on, he's not one of us. Somehow a faint sadness permeated the dump as the old man finished. Everyone's face showed reluctance. Though Wang Dang was a rascal since he came No. 3 dump had seen no bloodshed. Unlike other dumps where people died daily over trash. The rule he proposed, first come first served, avoided most fights. In the shanty town, whenever someone's appliance broke, he repaired it for free. Most of the older folks had watched him grow up. That brat, if he ever comes back to scavenge, will break his legs. The burly man wiped his reddened eyes, rolled up his sleeves and started picking. Meanwhile, Wang Dang had already hidden in his hut. On his small workbench, he dissected the robotic crab, revealing the star energy chip hidden in its belly. Carefully, he pried out the chip with a lever, cleaned it and connected it to a detector. Watching the 3 green lights on the detector, Wang Dang beamed like a Buddha and said elegantly, "Allen is wisdom. Ding detected hosts gambler nature binding gambler life sucking system. System bound, successfully generating host panel." Hearing the sudden voice, Wang Dang showed no fear but visible excitement. "It's here, finally here. I've been transmigrated here for 15 years, scavenged for 15 fucking years, and my golden finger finally fucking arrives. I got myself into university by scavenging, and the fucking golden finger only shows up now." Wang Dang was frantically grumbling in his heart. When he had first transmigrated, this body was only 3 years old and he had been struggling to survive alone near a garbage dump. It was practically a hell-level beginning. He was so small and his legs so short that let alone snatching garbage he could not even rush over in time to fight over fresh filth. Fortunately in the modern world he had been a mechanic. Although this world's technological level far surpassed that of his previous one, the principles of machinery were more or less the same. Thus he survived by picking up discarded components that others despised, exchanging them at the shantytown recycling point for expired nutrient solution. Although he often went to sleep hungry, collapsing the moment he laid down, he nonetheless staggered and groped his way into raising himself. Just as Wang Dang was recalling the 15 years of darkness he had endured, a crisp chime rang out from the system. System loading complete, please check the system panel host. Wang Dang's spirit jolted and he began rubbing his palms together. If he could rely on this golden finger system to awaken his spiritual power talent and become an outstanding mecha engineer, it would fulfill the regret he carried in this world. As for becoming a star energy master, he did not dare to dream that far. Across the entire blue star there were likely fewer than 100 such individuals. As the crisp notification tone sounded again, a virtual panel surfaced before Wang Dang's eyes. Host Wang Dang. Age 18. Talents: Mechanical Mastery, Low-Level Combat. Elemental Power not activated. Spiritual Power not activated. Martial Strength, Entry-Level Mecha Warrior. Life Value 13. Staring at the concise panel before him, Wang Dang fixed his gaze on the remaining life value column. His brows furrowed as he muttered, I'm not injured and I'm not sick right now, so why is my life value only 13? He might have been excited just now, but he had clearly heard the system's name, something like Gambling Dog Life Spending System. Since it required spending life, it obviously had everything to do with his life value. With only 13 points of life, how was he supposed to spend it? The system does not make mistakes. The reply came in a cold, androgynous electronic voice. Since you're so almighty, then why is my maximum life value grayed out? Wang Dang curled his lip, rebellion rising in his tone. Don't tell me you can't even detect it. Really now? Really? His repeated questioning plunged the system into 5 seconds of silence. No comment, it finally responded. Is admitting you're incompetent really that hard? Wang Dang whistled a hooligan's catcall, flawlessly imitating the rascal airs of the small-time thugs in the shanty district. The host's various physical indicators are weak. Life value cannot reach the normal baseline for an average person. It is recommended that the host strengthen physical exercise and maintain a balanced diet, the system advised. Hey, are you insinuating that I'm useless? Wang Dang rolled up his sleeves. If this system had a physical form, he would definitely take a swing at it. Growing up in a garbage dump had taught him one truth: only fists made the rules. His posture might be threatening, but doubt had already arisen in Wang Dang's heart. In this world, artificial intelligence was exceptionally advanced. They clearly would not make such clumsy, evasive mistakes. He could not determine whether this was truly the standard golden finger granted to transmigrators or merely some higher star civilization's method of toying with those from lower worlds. The host's life value is excessively low. There is a constant risk of death. Should the host perish, the system will also dissipate. The system's answer sounded as though it were trying to soothe Wang Dang. Then how exactly does this life spending work? Wang Dang licked his lips and voiced the question he cared about most. His gaze settled on the spiritual power column. As long as he obtained spiritual power, he could become a mecha engineer and construct a set of mecha entirely his own. Life value represents the time the host can survive in this world. 1 point equals 1 year. The host may consume life value to activate talents and enhance combat strength. For each point of life value consumed, the host is granted 1 draw in the card pool with a chance to obtain SSR high-tier cards and limited cards. The card pool contains various high-grade mecha materials and special talent skills. There is nothing the host can conceive that the card pool cannot provide. From that icy electronic voice, Wang Dang could actually hear a hint of pride and a heavy dose of temptation. He clicked his tongue. So I can only live 13 more years? In the modern world, he had only lived to 21 before being sent back to the furnace by an unlucky accident. After transmigrating to this world, he was still a short-lived ghost. The host need not be disheartened. The current life value is not the maximum life value, the system said. Once again, Wang Dang's gaze locked onto the life value line. Staring at the 3 question marks, he fell into thought. Is the maximum life value fixed from the start, or can it increase as my strength grows? The maximum life value is fixed. To raise the upper limit of life value, the host must first reach a certain level of strength. Only then is there a possibility of increasing it, the system replied. Wang Dang swallowed slightly. As long as there was a method to increase it, he could accept it, otherwise he would not dare to touch this so-called golden finger at all. If I want to awaken the spiritual power talent, how much life value will it cost? Activating the spiritual power talent requires 3 points of life value. Activating the elemental power talent requires 4 points. The spiritual power elemental power bundle costs only 5 points of life value and includes 6 bonus draws in the card pool, the system announced. Damn! Are you some predatory corporation? The routine was all too familiar, as was the marketing strategy. In his previous life, his money had vanished exactly this way. This is a limited time newcomer offer. The discount expires in 24 hours. Act fast or miss out, the system chimed. The system's coaxing echoed in his ears while in front of him the panel still showed only 13 points of life value. If 5 were deducted he would have just 8 years left. Yet buying only spiritual power felt like a loss, especially when the bundle offered extra draws. What if he happened to pull a high-tier card? In his heart Wang Dang had already begun to sway back and forth. His real dilemma was whether to spend 5 points on the bundle or just 3 to awaken spiritual power alone. He never once considered giving up. After all, what man could truly resist the lure of becoming a powerhouse? Even if it was a trap, he was willing to jump in with open eyes. Besides, he was a short-lived ghost either way. 13 years versus 8 did not feel like that great a difference. What was more, if he awakened both spiritual power and elemental power, he could become a star energy master, one who could harness the star energy drifting throughout the universe for his own use. It was said that a single star energy master could rival an entire Mecha legion. Do it. Take the gamble. Wang Dang clenched his fists hard. Deducting 5 points of life value, activating spiritual power and elemental power talents. Remaining draws for the host 6, the system declared. Hey, I never agreed yet. Wang Dang's eyes widened. The host's consent in his heart also counts as consent, the system replied. He wanted to retort, but a familiar wave of dizziness suddenly crashed over him. Wang Dang was about to faint again. In the final second before losing consciousness, he turned his head to glance at the tester on his workbench, a star energy chip still plugged into it, and deliberately toppled in the opposite direction. Thankfully, he would not crush the chip. Wang Dang was known by a nickname at Nancheng Central Primary School, Sleepy Bro. He would collapse into sleep anytime, anywhere at the sight of anyone. But don't misunderstand, it wasn't that kind of sleep, it was fainting. He would wake up after as little as 5 minutes or as long as a dozen hours. The free school clinic couldn't diagnose any issue, perhaps because the school's equipment was too outdated, or maybe Wang Dang's condition was simply too rare. Aside from collapsing into unconsciousness at any moment, there were no other side effects. Wang Dang suspected it might be a lingering after effect from drinking too many expired nutrient fluids as a child. Or perhaps he had fainted from hunger so many times in his early years that his body had formed a conditioned reflex. As soon as it sensed hunger, it would simply shut down. Moreover, the nickname Sleepy Bro was far better than Wang the Ragpicker, so he gladly accepted it. By the time Wang Dang woke again, night had already fallen outside. How long was I out? Wang Dang muttered, rubbing the back of his head as he stood up. It seemed his head had hit the ground first this time. Not bad, as long as his handsome face was unscathed. The host was unconscious for 3 hours. Please ensure proper exercise and a balanced diet. Wang Dang somehow imagined a hint of concern behind the cold electronic voice. Got it, you nag, Wang Dang replied, his voice tinged with awkwardness. In this world he was an orphan, waking up each day to the sole challenge of filling his stomach. He faced either mocking teachers and classmates or rivals scavenging for trash alongside him. He had long forgotten when he last heard a word of care. But now with the system's help he had awakened his spiritual energy and elemental power talents, making him a potential star energy master, and he could even learn to construct mechas. It was just a pity that the system had arrived too late. If only it had come when he was 8 years old. In this world every person could take a free aptitude test at age 8. If they had spiritual talent and their family was wealthy enough, they could enroll early in a Mecha pilot academy. And if someone possessed both spiritual and elemental talents, they became a prized asset. Every academy would compete to recruit them, and the resources of an entire city would be poured into their development. He still remembered the crushing disappointment when his test results at 8 showed no talent at all. Does the host wish to draw cards now? The system's voice pulled Wang Dang back from his memories. No. He rubbed his chin thoughtfully. I don't have the inspiration right now. I'll draw when I feel it. The system fell silent. Wang Dang tucked the star energy chip on the table into his treasure box, then pulled a green nutrient fluid from a cardboard box by his bed and began gulping it down. After downing an entire bottle in one go, he let out a long sigh. Finally alive again. With that he picked up a faded iron pot, poured 5 bottles of nutrient fluid into it, and pressed the heating button on the handle. Soon the green liquid inside began to bubble and steam. For Wang Dang, a meal without something warm felt like he hadn't eaten at all. Perhaps because he was still growing, 2 bottles of nutrient fluid a day sufficed for an ordinary person, but Wang Dang needed 10, and still felt ravenous, often so hungry he saw stars. Usually to save resources he would only drink 3 bottles for dinner. But today, with the acquisition of a star energy chip and a golden finger, a little extra was more than justified. Under normal circumstances that chip would have kept him fed and clothed for the next 6 months, but plans never kept pace with change. Being a mecha pilot was already expensive enough, and now he had to train as a star energy master on top of his original profession as a mecha fighter. All he could do was hope that the system's card pool would yield a card with a massive star coin bank account, otherwise every step would be a struggle. Wang Dang carried the steaming pot, a metal spoon clenched between his teeth, and switched on the television in his room. That television was an antique from the last century. Most people nowadays used holographic projectors to watch shows. Wang Dang was probably the only person in all of Nancheng still using an old-fashioned TV. Breaking news: tomorrow at 9:15 am, Nancheng will be hit by a level 8 tsunami. All citizens are advised to stay indoors unless absolutely necessary. The coastal avenue and airspace of Nanchang will be cordoned off from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. Please take alternate routes. Wang Dang scooped a spoonful of nutrient fluid to his lips, his eyes fixed unblinkingly on the news anchor. A level 8 tsunami. How high would that be? He took another sip. In his original world, such news would have triggered widespread panic instantly. A level 8 tsunami could destroy a city of steel and concrete as if it were child's play. But here everyone was remarkably calm about such a massive natural disaster. They only needed to seal off the coastal roads, because the Star Energy Masters would handle it. Wang Dang quickly finished the nutrient fluid in the pot. Star coins were practically waving at him, weren't they? After drinking, he tidied up the room in a flash and dashed out the door. Panting, he ran out of the shanty town and headed straight for the wealthy district. Fatty Liu! Fatty Liu! Wang Dang shouted loudly outside a small white villa. I told you my house is across the street. Liu Neng opened the door from behind Wang Dang, looking exasperated. And stop calling me Fatty Liu, can't you see how skinny I am now? Wang Dang wiped the sweat from his forehead and held out his hand matter-of-factly. Lend me your optical brain. Seriously, brother Wang. You got into the Imperial Military Academy and you still won't buy yourself an optical brain. Liu Neng looked stunned. That's just cheap. Wang Dang was about to retort when an irritable male voice came from behind Liu Neng. You little brat. How many times do I have to tell you not to bring your shady friends home? Can't you hear me? Liu Neng instantly cowered. Dad, this is my classmate. Liu's father squinted at Wang Dang for 3 seconds, then slapped Liu Neng on the back so hard the boy howled in pain. Classmate. This kid looks like a street thug. You never learn. Wang Dang felt a bit awkward at Liu's father's words and rubbed his hair self-consciously. Born with a roguish charm, was that his fault? No, Dad, listen, he really is my classmate. Remember when my hovercar broke down last time? He fixed it. You little bastard, you're getting bold enough to lie without even thinking. Wait. Seeing his father's massive hand about to descend, Liu Neng squeezed his eyes shut and played his trump card. He got into the Imperial Military Academy. Liu's father's hand froze mid-air, then with lightning speed he grabbed Wang Dang's hand and shook it vigorously, his face blooming like a chrysanthemum swaying in the wind. A top scholar. A top scholar. Quick, come inside. You must mentor our Liu Neng more often, look at his grades this year. I'm too embarrassed to even mention them. You youngsters chat among yourselves, you have plenty of topics. I'll go prepare some fresh sea cucumbers that just came in season. In the living room of Liu Neng's house, Wang Dang sat awkwardly on the sofa staring fixedly at Liu Neng across from him. From the kitchen came the clatter of Liu's father chopping vegetables, occasionally punctuated by a few bars of a popular tune. What do you need the light brain for? Liu Neng tried to mask his embarrassment by changing the subject. To buy something. Wang Dang intended to brush it off. After all, if this kid found out he was going to make a fortune, he'd definitely want a piece of the action. Just to buy something. Liu Neng leaned closer to Wang Dang. Brother Wang, with our relationship, are you still trying to fool me? We've been classmates since elementary school. Think of all the years we've been through together. Wang Dang shot him a glance. Yeah, in elementary school your family ran a garbage recycling station and I was a trash picker. We were Wang the rubbish and rubbish Wang. Stop. My family switched businesses now. We run a public flying car rental company. Liu Neng clearly didn't want to revisit those dark days. Just to buy something and you came all the way to my place this late at night. That's not like you, brother Wang. Wang Dang sighed. He knew this guy wouldn't be easy to fool. Isn't there a tsunami tomorrow? All the coastal roads are sealed off, but I know a perfect observation spot. Before Wang Dang could finish, a gleam of cunning lit up Liu Neng's eyes. 50-50 split. The cost of what I buy with my light brain gets deducted from the profits. Liu Fatty, are you even human? You're already so rich and you still haggle over such a pittance. Wang Dang's face contorted with reluctance. But who could he blame? He didn't have a light brain, and the only person he knew who had one and was willing to lend it was Liu Fatty. Business is business. Besides, whoever has too much money? A shrewd smile curled at the corner of Liu Fatty's lips. Fine. 50-50 it is. Wang Dang let out another long sigh. I bombed my college entrance exam and got grounded. So tomorrow's outing is all on you, brother Wang. Liu Neng clasped his hands together and gave Wang Dang a reverent bow. Then make it 60-40. 60 for me, 40 for you. Wang Dang seized any chance to gain an advantage. Liu Neng glanced at his father bustling in the kitchen and gritted his teeth. Deal. Soon Liu's father emerged with several steaming plates. I didn't know what you liked, young man, so I made a bit of everything. Start with these, and if it's not enough, I'll make more. I hear you top students have great physical fitness and big appetites. I'll whip up some more for you. Wang Dang looked at the colourful and fragrant dishes before him, his mouth saying, Runkle, no need, uncle, this is enough. But his body betrayed him, walking uncontrollably toward the dining table. He couldn't help it. Ingredients that were ordinary in the modern world had become luxuries only the rich could afford in this one. Because nutrient fluids could quickly and conveniently provide the human body with all the necessary nutrition and energy, and they were cheap and easy to make. Gradually these common ingredients fell out of favor to the point where they were now nearly considered luxury goods. As a poor kid who scraped by in a garbage dump, Wang Dang had rarely enjoyed a good meal. So now he was eating from his own plate while eyeing the others, utterly unable to stop himself. That Liu Neng from selling homework notebooks to exam answers always had to get his cut in everything big or small. Today Wang Dang was determined to eat his fill and then some. Brother Wang slowed down. You're scaring me. Liu Neng watched Wang Dang wolf down his food, hesitating to say more. But by then Wang Dang's eyes were glazed over with greed for the food. He had no time for talk. For a moment the only sounds were the muffled noise of Wang Dang devouring his meal mingling with the clatter from the kitchen. After seeing Wang Dang off, Liu's father turned to Liu Neng with a stern face. See that? No wonder he got into the Imperial Military Academy. With an appetite like that, has no ordinary person. From now on you need to eat that much too. Liu Neng's face instantly fell, a look of indignation spreading across it. Dad, I only just lost weight last year. Don't even mention it. If you hadn't insisted on dieting, maybe you'd have gotten into the Imperial Military Academy this year too. The next morning at 7, Wang Dang showed up right across from Liu Neng's house. He had planned to take the purchased items with him yesterday, but Liu Neng didn't trust him. The kid thought that if he took the stuff he wouldn't come back to pick him up, so he kept everything. How could Liu Fatty be like this? It's an insult to my integrity. Wang Dang grumbled as he stood across from Liu Neng's house. Damn it, I told you my house is across the street. Liu Fatty opened the door and sure enough found Wang Dang standing on the opposite side again. He pulled Wang Dang over. Come on, look. Isn't this green villa beautiful? Why do you always run to my neighbor's house? Wang Dang looked at him speechless. You tell me. It's absolutely hideous. Liu Ning glared at him. Dad, I'm heading out with Wang Dang. Great. Spend more time with your classmate Wang. Don't worry about coming back tonight. Learn from him. Liu Ning quickly pushed Wang Dang forward. Hurry, hurry, or my dad will never shut up. Wang Dang glanced back with a hint of envy. Where's the stuff? All in my space ring. Liu Ning proudly showed off his left hand. The latest model. Cool, huh? On his left hand gleamed a silver ring with wave-like patterns. A graduation gift. My dad never thought I'd fail the college exam, ha ha ha. Liu Ning wore a smug look like a petty man who had gotten his way. Is failing the college exam something to be proud of? Wang Dang shot Liu Ning a look of disdain. Not everyone is as talented as you. Liu Ning muttered under his breath. And so the two bickered and joked all the way to a hill behind the coastal highway. From there they had an unobstructed view of the entire road below. Having chosen the best spot, Wang Dang and Liu Ning worked together, quickly setting up folding tables and chairs to claim the prime location. They even set up a fully stocked mini bar. After they finished, a crowd began to gather on the hill, clearly all there to watch the tsunami. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've got the best viewing spot here with fine cocktails to boot, only 500 star coins per person. Coming up soon you'll get a front row seat to see the Star Energy Masters stop the tsunami. Wang Dang shouted enthusiastically at the entrance, trying to lure in customers. 500 star coins wasn't cheap, it could buy a whole crate of high-energy nutrient fluid. But when it came to Star Energy Masters, most people considered it money well spent. What's more, the Star Energy Masters would be working hard to hold back the tsunami while they lounged comfortably in recliners, enjoying the spectacle, a luxury not easily bought with money on ordinary days. After they took their seats, Liu Ning cheerfully brought over a drink menu. Big brother, would you like to take a look at our signature cocktails? They're all our own creations, you won't find them anywhere outside. The man who had just sat down finally sensed something amiss and muttered, so 500 per person doesn't include drinks. Wang Dang immediately stepped closer. Big brother, we're college students working part-time, a small business. You know alcohol isn't cheap, and our cocktails are all made with fresh fruit juice. Hearing about the fresh fruit juice, the man's expression softened slightly. Yeah, college students these days have it tough. Give me a golden tune apple then. Coming right up. Wang Dang turned and strode to the bar, his hands moving swiftly as he began mixing the drink. Due to the widespread use of nutrient solutions, the world's culinary culture had severely regressed and cocktails were nearly a lost art. What they called exquisite cocktails made with fresh juice were actually just various fruit-flavored nutrient solutions added to alcohol. The strong liquor taste masked everything anyway. This way the gross profit margin on a single cocktail could reach 90. Even if they didn't sell all of them tonight, it was still a surefire no-loss deal. After attending to the customers on the back hill, Wang Dang had Liu Ning watch over their makeshift stall while he went down the mountain to scout for more clients. Big brother, you're here to see the Stellar Energy Masters, aren't you? Wang Dang sidled up mysteriously to a well-dressed middle-aged man. I know a spot where you can take in the entire coastal road from a high vantage point. Just give me 100 stellar coins and it'll take you there. The middle-aged man glanced at the crowded throng ahead. Indeed, he couldn't see anything from here, so he pulled out his bank card. Fine, I'll transfer it to you. Wang Dang deftly produced his own bank card, tapped it against the man's, and 100 stellar coins were credited. "Hey young man, that great spot you mentioned, take us along too." Bystanders who had been watching began to stir with interest. "Sure, don't rush, one at a time." With more business rolling in, Wang Dang's grin stretched almost to his ears. Just as he was busy collecting payments, a delicate fair hand extended before him, its pink nails shimmering faintly in the sunlight. But Wang Dang had no time to admire her hand. His entire attention was captivated by the black card she held. An Imperial Bank Black Diamond card, a major client. "Hurry up, just take whatever you want, he'll cover it all," a willful, impatient voice rang in his ear. "Don't bring anyone else along." Wang Dang looked up at the voice and saw a girl in a pink striped short-sleeve shirt and a denim miniskirt, her skin fair and luminous. A large pair of sunglasses covered most of her face, obscuring her true features. But one thing was certain, she was no less beautiful than the interstellar starlets in the movies. Wang Dang swiftly took the black diamond card from her hand, his expression unchanged as he transferred 5000 stellar coins to his account. "As you command, he'll take you there right away." The first paying middle-aged man watched Wang Dang's series of moves in stunned amazement, inwardly marveling. This kid was truly relentless, even with someone who looked like that he still had the nerve to fleece her. After Wang Dang returned the card to the sunglasses-wearing girl, she waved behind her and several more impeccably dressed young men and women stepped forward, looking like an interstellar variety show crew filming in South City. Eyeing the new arrivals, Wang Dang silently counted the number of people. Good, any more and there wouldn't be room. This was just right. And among them were a few fat sheep. He'd have to fleece them thoroughly later. Come, follow me everyone. Don't fall behind." Wang Dang led the group from the front while discreetly glancing at the necks of the sunglasses girls' party. If he wasn't mistaken, the necklaces hanging around their necks were the legendary Mecha necklaces used to store mechas. As for why they were legendary, in the Empire, mechas were strictly controlled by the military and high-ranking officials. As someone like him, an ordinary person, had no chance to even touch one. Across all of South City, only 5 registered individuals owned mechas. Yet here 6 people with mechas had appeared at once. Clearly this group was no small fry. If it were before, Wang Dang's eyes would never have left those necklaces. But now things were different. In a few days he would report to the Imperial Military Academy. He'd heard that upon enrollment the Academy issued each student a basic-level mecha for practice. Soon he would have his own mecha? Moreover, he had already earned the qualification to learn mecha construction. Then he could build a mecha that was uniquely his. At this thought, Wang Dang's steps grew lighter. "Sister Molly, I've always heard South City is really poor, but that guide is at least a 3rd-tier mecha warrior." A girl with a butterfly hairpin leaned close to the sunglasses girl, lowering her voice. Tan Molly glanced at Wang Dang leading the way. "He should be a 5th-tier mecha warrior." My Xiaomai gasped, covering her mouth. "A 5th-tier mecha warrior working as a scalper? That doesn't make sense. Shouldn't he be at the Imperial Military Academy? A 5th-tier mecha warrior is barely qualified to pilot a mecha. Given his background, he probably knows that even if he enters the academy, he'll just be a stepping stone for others." Tan Moli's face was cold. People should know their place. It wasn't that Tan Moli looked down on Wang Dang, it was just the harsh reality of this world. A small-town grind dreaming of mechas was nothing short of delusional. Even if he met the academy's threshold, so what? Mecha warriors might not burn through money like mecha engineers or stellar energy masters, but they were still far beyond the reach of an ordinary person from a small town. She had seen too many such people at the academy, too poor to even repair the academy's junk mechas, yet they talked about becoming qualified mecha warriors. It was a waste of everyone's time. Of course, occasionally a prodigy might emerge from the common folk, but such a person might not appear even once in a century. After all, the best genes and talents were concentrated among the upper class. These things were determined at birth and could never be changed. My Xiaomai seemed to recall the poor students at their school and showed a pained expression. "Sister Molly, let's give him more money later. He's not having an easy time." If it were her being a 5th-tier mecha warrior without even touching a mecha, how heartbroken would she be? Xiaomai, even though you're a mecha engineer, being soft-hearted doesn't align with the academy's motto. Tan Moli scolded sternly. My Xiaomai pouted with some grievance. "Sister Molly, you can keep judging me by mecha warrior standards. Mecha engineers will also go to the battlefield," Tan Moli said without a hint of leniency. "By then it'll be too late." All right, Sister Molly, aren't we here to see Senior Yu?" A buzzcut young man quickly stepped in to mediate. "Yeah, this is Senior Yu's first mission. I can't wait." My Xiaomai instantly switched to a lovesick expression, her face full of anticipation. When the group arrived at the venue, several people were initially displeased to discover that an entrance fee of 500 star coins was required. However, Tan Mo Li and her companions paid without a second glance and entered. Moreover, as Wang Dang had claimed, the location offered an excellent view complete with tables, chairs and fine wine, so they accepted it gladly. "Young man, you really know how to make money," remarked the middle-aged man who had been the first to pay Wang Dang as he glanced at the drink menu in his hand. He felt that the longest road he had ever traveled in his life was the path of Wang Dang's schemes. In less than half an hour he had been charged twice by this young man, and now a third payment was looming. There was no help for it, the names of the drinks on the menu were simply too tempting. How could one watch a star energy master hold back a tsunami without a fine glass of wine? In contrast to the middle-aged man's reluctance, Tan Mo Li was exceedingly generous, ordering every single item on the drink menu without batting an eye. When Liu Neng settled her bill, he was already calling her grandaunt and even received a 500-star coin tip for his efforts. Witnessing this from behind the bar as he mixed drinks, Wang Dang was consumed with regret. If only he had gone over, he would have called her grandaunt 5 times. Look, look! The Star Energy Masters are coming, someone shouted, pointing ahead. The entire venue fell silent as everyone focused their attention forward. Indeed, the coastal avenue was already crowded with people, including official media and staff from the southern city tasked with managing the tsunami. The most striking among them were 5 men clad in tight combat suits. I heard one of the Star Energy Masters this time is a student from the Imperial Military Academy, a spatial type. This tsunami is too massive, it won't calm down anytime soon. They'll have to release some seawater or it won't be lifted by tomorrow. A spatial type Star Energy Master? That's quite rare. As everyone buzzed with chatter, the 5 Star Energy Masters summoned their mechas, ascended into the sky and vanished from view above the sea surface. Hey, we can see them. Why did they fly so high? We might as well have watched the broadcast at home. What a wasted trip. A chorus of boos erupted from the temporary shop. Fortunately, Wang Dang was well prepared. Like a magician, he produced a box of the latest mechanical telescopes from beneath the bar. Dear guests, the shop has telescopes for sale. They'll help you see the Star Energy Masters' combat details more clearly. For guests who have made purchases here, there's a special price of 888 star coins. For those who haven't, the price is 1000 star coins. The middle-aged man took a sip of his cocktail and sighed deeply. Young man, give me one. He figured he had already spent so much today, what was another 888? Besides, there was something oddly satisfying about someone going to such lengths to empty his wallet. It was almost touching. The others shared similar thoughts. Since they had already come this far and spent so much, saving 888 star coins now would render all their previous expenses meaningless. Before long, the 2 boxes of mechanical telescopes Wang Dang had procured were sold out. What a huge profit this time. Once he reached the Imperial Military Academy, he wouldn't have to worry about living expenses for a long time. Hidden behind the bar, Wang Dang opened the holographic projection of his bank account, grinning like an idiot at his balance. Look, they're starting. At that moment, Liu Neng was also holding a telescope, leaning against the bar as he gazed at the sea. You're paying for this telescope, 1000 star coins, not a single one less. Wang Dang rolled his eyes at Liu Neng. Truly the young master of a wealthy family with no concept of frugality. Wasn't it better to just watch the TV broadcast at home? Why strain your neck watching the live scene here? How tiring. Just as Wang Dang was complaining about Liu Neng, the 5 Star Energy Masters in the sky had assumed their positions. Apart from Yuxinji, the others were all from the Imperial Blue Star Corps. Junior Yu, the 4 of us will raise a star energy barrier and leave an opening in the middle for you. It's all up to you. Rest assured, senior brothers. I will do my best. Yuxinji's expression was grave. He had just crossed the threshold of a 10th tier Star Energy Master, successfully advancing from an apprentice to an intermediate Star Energy Master. The other 4 Star Energy Masters he was collaborating with were all advanced masters who had long since graduated from the Imperial Military Academy. Had it not been for the rarity of spatial-type Star Energy Masters, he would not have been assigned to this mission. He could only do his best to use the dimensional gate to carry away as much seawater as possible, easing the burden on his 4 senior brothers. Soon the 4 advanced Star Energy Masters activated their Star Energy barriers. Some barriers were blue, others red, and still others purple. These colors represented their elemental affinities. The 4 barriers spread across the sky, enveloping the entire sea surface. Other sea surfaces also gradually rose, with Star Energy barriers covering the entire southern city like a canopy. Your Star Energy is insufficient. Wait until the wave comes before opening the dimensional gate. A voice transmitted into Yuxinji's mind. Understood, he replied solemnly. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You are the most talented Star Energy Master in the Blue Star Capital. Keep it up. A kindly senior brother offered words of encouragement. Brother Wang, look. The Star Energy Masters are so cool. Liu Neng pulled Wang Dang over and forcibly shoved the telescope into his hands. Look at that barrier, it's stunning. Through the telescope, Wang Dang also witnessed the magnificent spectacle on the sea, his heart surging with emotion. So this is what a Star Energy Master is. It seemed he would have to work harder to save up money and not waste his Star Energy talent. With that thought, Wang Dang summoned the system in his mind. System, what type of Star Energy Master am I? Host, you have only awakened the Star Energy talent but lack elemental affinity. Therefore you are a Star Energy Master without a specific type. Suppressing the urge to curse, Wang Dang's mouth twitched. So you're saying I need to activate elemental affinity to become a true Star Energy Master? Wow, host, you're so smart. Would you like spatial type elemental affinity? It only costs 5 life points. Go to hell. Wang Dang finally couldn't hold back and cursed it out loud. Damn it, what a rip-off. Wang Dang's furious outburst startled Liu Neng, who quickly snatched the telescope from his hands, trying to see what had caused his brother Wang to erupt so suddenly. There's nothing here. Liu Neng peered through the telescope in all directions but found nothing unusual. A tsunami is coming. A sharp female voice rang out and everyone immediately focused their gaze on the horizon where they indeed saw towering waves. Based on visual estimation, the waves reached about 100 meters in height. Before the monstrous waves, the Star Energy Warriors' defense mechas appeared as insignificant as ants. Yet the Star Energy barriers they erected firmly held back the cataclysmic waves like steel prisons trapping the colossal beast on the ocean's surface. Junior Yu now. Yu Xinji, hearing the senior's command, immediately opened a dimensional gate before himself. The roaring, raging seawater surged endlessly toward the dimensional gate, its violent force nearly causing Yu Xinji to lose control of the portal. Go, Senior Yu. Mai Xiaomai held a telescope in one hand while clenching her other hand into a small fist as if cheering for Yu Xinji. Facing the surging water, Yu Xinji gritted his teeth and poured even more star energy into the dimensional gate, barely managing to stabilize it. However, the massive consumption of star energy meant he could not maintain the gate for long, which was far worse than their initial plan. A Star Energy Master not far from Yu Xinji seemed to notice his struggle and quickly sent a telepathic message. Junior Yu, how is it? Can you hold on? Yu Xinji replied with effort. But I probably can't last the expected hour. It's okay. The tsunami is at its fiercest now. Once we get through this wave, the rest will be easier to handle. As long as we don't end up like those fools in the Federation who destroyed an entire city while dealing with a tsunami. Yu Xinji had no time to entertain his senior's jokes now. His entire focus was on maintaining the dimensional gate. The waves relentlessly pounded against the Star Energy barrier, the violent force dimming it, but the Star Energy Masters quickly infused more power to keep the barrier from dissipating. Just as everyone thought this tsunami crisis would pass as peacefully as the previous ones, a sudden change occurred. After 3 cataclysmic waves, a hideous sea beast with 2 antennae on its head, each connected to eyes the size of fists, was slammed against the Star Energy barrier by the force of the waves. Looking closely, the waves behind carried a considerable number of sea beasts. Their sizes varied, but they shared one trait: extreme ugliness, as if they were products of radiation mutation. Trouble. Sea beasts incoming. All personnel level 3 alert. Blue Star Legion calling. Blue Star Legion. This is Nancheng City. We need fire support. Pandemonium erupted on the scene. The media, who had been operating drones and setting up cameras, began a panicked retreat. The Nancheng police at the outermost perimeter quickly responded, deploying forces to encircle the entire coastline, fearing the sea beasts would breach the Star Energy Master's barrier and invade Nancheng. Damn it, why the sudden sea beast attack? The Star Energy Masters on the ocean surface were also startled. It must be the Federation's doing. Everyone focus. We must not let the sea beasts break through our line. As members of the Imperial Blue Star Legion, we swear to defend the Empire's Blue Star civilians. With united resolve, the Star Energy Masters faced the combined assault of tsunami and sea beasts without flinching, standing firm on the ocean and maintaining their star energy barriers. Though the tsunami's force was immense, it was merely physical power. The sea beasts' attacks, however, contained star energy, causing their barriers to weaken rapidly. The originally planned 2-hour tsunami clearance mission was now beyond reach. Junior Yu enlarged the dimensional gate. Our barriers won't hold much longer. We must minimize Nancheng's losses. Understood, Senior. Standing inside the mecha cockpit, Yu Xinji's face had turned pale. He pulled 3 star energy nutrient drinks from his pocket and gulped them down, abandoning all caution. Whether it meant overdrawing his star energy or straining his mental strength, he had to protect Nancheng and not disgrace the Imperial Military Academy. With that thought, Yu Xinji mustered all his strength, expanding the dimensional gate to its limit. The 2 Star Energy Masters nearby also cooperated by shrinking their star energy barriers. Look! A sea beast has come ashore. Liu Ning handed the telescope to Wang Dang and pointed below. It's heading our way, Brother Wang. Let's retreat quickly. I'll evacuate the crowd. You pack up the stuff. Wang Dang realized the severity of the situation. The sea beasts have breached the barrier. Everyone run for your lives. Wang Dang shouted while swiftly folding the tables and chairs. These items had cost star coins and he couldn't let the sea beasts ruin them. Fortunately, the bills were already settled, otherwise he would have stayed to protect the customers and fought the sea beasts for 500 rounds. Though that thought crossed his mind, his hands moved even faster to pack things up. The customers, having seen the upheaval on the sea through their telescopes, didn't need Wang Dang's reminder. They fled at once. When Wang Dang reached Tan Moli's table to collect the items, he found them sitting calmly, showing no intention of moving. Hey, the sea beasts are here. Wang Dang reminded them again. Tan Moli took a sip of her cocktail and said leisurely, I know. The sea beasts are here. Then get up. I need to pack up and flee. Wang Dang was starting to suspect this girl wasn't quite right in the head. As a 5th-rank mecha warrior, the first thought when facing sea beasts is to run. Tan Moli sneered. Then why become a mecha warrior? Big sis? Wang Dang's eyes widened. I'm just a 5th-rank mecha recruit. You want me to fight sea beasts barehanded? I don't even have a mecha. Sister Moli, don't make things hard for him. Well, stay. Mai Xiaomai gently tugged Tan Moli's sleeve and said amiably to Wang Dang, Boss, don't worry. We're all students from the Imperial Military Academy. We won't let the sea beasts hurt you. Wang Dang's face twitched in exasperation. It wasn't that he feared being hurt by the sea beasts, after all counting his money earlier had inspired him to draw an SR gold card from the system more than enough to ensure his survival. What pained him was the furniture, all brand new, used only once. If the sea beasts ruined them, it would be a waste of hard-earned star coins. If he himself got beaten up by the sea beasts, a few days of recovery would suffice. But if the tables and chairs got scratched, they'd be flawed and couldn't fetch a good price even on the second-hand market. As they spoke, the sea beasts had already climbed up the cliff wall, their limbs as agile as sea monkeys. Tan Moli shoved Wang Dang aside and boarded a red and white mech. First, hide yourself. The others summoned their mechs as well, switching to combat mode to face the endless tide of sea beasts. Brother Wang, hide quickly. Liu Neng grabbed Wang Dang and swiftly ducked under a large boulder. This is terrifying. Why are there still sea beasts? Is the Federation behind this? Wang Dang looked thoughtful. Not necessarily. The Empire and the Federation have always fought against aberrations. Despite our conflicts, they wouldn't use aberrations. After all, aberrations had cost both the Federation and the Empire dearly. Are those students from the Imperial Military Academy? Their mechs are so cool. Liu Neng lay behind the rock gazing enviously at Tan Moli and the others fighting the sea beasts with their mechs. Brother Wang, when you start school you must send me a photo of your mech. Yeah, if only it were mine. Wang Dang also stared intently at Tan Moli's mech, a glint of light reflecting off the corner of his mouth under the sun. Tan Moli's mech was a heavy-duty model contrasting with her slender frame, yet she maneuvered it with ease. Soon 3 sea beasts lay dead under her laser hammer. Wang Dang had never touched a mech in his life. Nansheng High School had only 2 mech control simulators that mimicked the feeling of being in a cockpit. The school treasured those 2 simulators like precious heirlooms. In 3 years of high school, Wang Dang had only used them 6 times. While Tan Moli and the other mech warriors fought on the front lines, my Xiaomai boarded a light blue defensive mech, showing no intention of joining the battle. Wang Dang deduced that this short-haired girl was likely a mech engineer. After all, only a mech engineer could be so cherished by mech warriors. Though a mech engineer also piloted a mech, they possessed no combat capability and could not unleash the mech's destructive power. Typically, mech engineers used their mech solely for defense. Wang Dang licked his lips. So a mech engineer's mech was the easiest to snatch. No to pick up. As more and more sea beasts climbed up, Tan Moli's side began to struggle. In Wang Dang's view, 2 sea beasts had already broken through their line and were targeting my Xiaomai behind them. Fortunately, my Xiaomai's mech had strong defenses. No matter how the 2 sharp-toothed sea beasts bit and tore, they only left some scratches on the surface. This was only natural. Mech engineers' mechs were built by the Mech Engineer Association, boasting unrivaled defense, a special care from the association for its juniors. After all, training a mech engineer required immense resources equivalent to a small town's annual income. Watching new scratches appear on my Xiaomai's mech, Wang Dang winced in pain. He didn't know the material of the mech's armor plates. But judging by its hardness, it was clearly a rare commodity now being worn down by the sea beast's claws, while the short-haired girl showed no sign of resistance. If his mech were treated like this, he would slaughter the sea beast's entire lineage to vent his fury. Just as my Xiaomai was pinned down by 3 sea beasts, a sea beast facing Tan Moli up ahead exploded without warning. The resulting viscous fluid sprayed all over Tan Moli's mech. No good, my stellar energy pool is corroded, Xiaomai. Tan Moli smashed a sea beast flat with her hammer, not giving it a chance to explode. Sister Moli, I can't move. My Xiaomai also noticed the situation ahead. She wanted to help Tan Moli repair her mech but was trapped by 3 sea beasts. Help Xiaomai break out. Tan Moli smashed another sea beast and shouted to her comrades. But they were each dealing with at least 5 sea beasts, unable to spare a hand for my Xiaomai. Warning: severe stellar energy loss. Warning: insufficient energy. Inside the cockpit, electronic warnings blared, making Tan Moli even more anxious. Without stellar energy, the mech was nothing but scrap metal. Unable to get timely help from the engineer, Tan Moli could only speed up, killing as many sea beasts as possible before her mech was ruined. As a military academy student, protecting civilians was her top priority. Though they were weak, her father had said that without them she wouldn't enjoy her privileged life. As Tan Moli pushed her mech to the limit, stellar energy drained even faster. The surrounding sea beasts seemed to sense her weakening, encircling her like wolves drawn to the scent of meat. Sister Moli. My Xiaomai's voice was now choked with tears. She regretted listening to Moli and bringing this purely defensive mech. She shouldn't have chosen this mech for safety. Pure defensive mechs were hard to control, and she wasn't a professional mech warrior. Combined with the sea beast's strength, she was completely immobilized, forced to watch Tan Moli's mech lose energy. Protect Xiaomai. Hold out until reinforcements arrive. The Empire is proud of us. Tan Moli's mech gripped its hammer with both hands, stubbornly holding the line. Sister Moli, let's retreat. My Xiaomai was now in tears. She didn't want to be the Empire's pride as she wanted her friends to live. Just as she was sinking into despair, she heard a clear young male voice. Exoskeleton activate. Since she had given up, he couldn't let this obviously expensive mech go to waste. Snapping off a few key parts would cover his entire 4 years of university living expenses. Who needed pots and pans? Wang Dang's limbs were suddenly clad in metallic bones of different colors, red on the left arm, blue on the right. Even the metal bones on his right thigh and calf were different colors. He couldn't help it, he was too poor to afford even the standard exoskeleton for new mech recruits. This set was cobbled together from a classmate's discarded parts repaired and assembled into a functional exoskeleton. With the exoskeleton's boost, Wang Dang felt his strength multiply several times over. He usually hoarded this exoskeleton afraid of damaging it, but now was the chance to trade up. Brother Wang, don't be reckless. These are aberrations. Liu Neng stammered in fear when he saw Wang Dang activate the exoskeleton. Watch me pull off something big. With that, Wang Dang's speed doubled under the exoskeleton's power, and in the blink of an eye he was in front of Mai Xiaomai. His fist wrapped in metal bones struck the sea beast clinging to Mai Xiaomai's back. Wang Dang put all his strength into the punch. He had never fought a sea beast and didn't know its power, but seeing how even Tan Moli with her mech struggled, he had to go all out. A clang of metal against metal rang out. The immense force pushed Wang Dang back a step and the metal bones on his fist were already dented. But the sea beast didn't fare well either. Wang Dang's punch knocked it off the mech and its crimson eyes fixed on him, eerily chilling. Are you insane? An exoskeleton can't hurt a sea beast. Mai Xiaomai shouted. Run. Damn, it's that tough. But it was too late. The pain had enraged the beast and it lunged at Wang Dang. Mai Xiaomai's face turned pale. What had the teacher said to do in such extreme situations? Right, she remembered. She took a deep breath and roared, if you can't even protect the healer, what kind of warriors are you? Wang Dang leaned back to evade the sea beast's attack, clenching his right fist as the spikes on his exoskeleton protruded. He slashed heavily across the beast's abdomen and green mucus seeped through the wound, dripping onto his skin. It instantly corroded his flesh and clothing, sending up plumes of white smoke. So you're not entirely hard all over, Wang Dang grimaced, enduring the searing pain. He couldn't get near Mai Xiaomai's mech without driving off the sea beast. The hideous sea beast crashed to the ground for long gashes on its abdomen, still dripping green mucus. Meanwhile, the other two sea beasts entangled with Mai Xiaomai seemed to sense that this moving target was more intriguing. They released her and charged toward Wang Dang with roars. Wang Dang narrowly evaded their pounces, but during his dodge a beast's claw tore across his abdomen and blood gushed out. The scent of blood further enraged the sea beasts, their howls growing fiercer. Hearing the roars, Mai Xiaomai finally realized the black shop owner was still alive. But she had no time to dwell on it. The priority was repairing her teammate's mech. She clumsily maneuvered her own mech to help Tan Mol. Wang Dang watched helplessly as the walking star coins vanished before his eyes. Who told him mech pilots were just support with no combat capability? How could this mech pilot be so fast? Tan Mol meanwhile cooperated perfectly, killing sea beasts while exposing the star energy pool compartment on her back for Mai Xiaomai. Wang Dang's body-snatching plan was forcibly aborted. The situation was dire, his exoskeleton was no match for the sea beasts, its hardness even inferior to their bones. Worse still, the sea beast's hatred had fully shifted to him. He admitted he'd been a tad greedy, but shouldn't these beasts prioritize the high combat target first? With no choice, Wang Dang steeled himself for battle. After several exchanges, his left arm's exoskeleton shattered completely and his body was covered in wounds. But the three sea beasts weren't much better off. Wang Dang focused solely on their vulnerable abdomens, adopting a strategy of trading blows, biting back even as they bit him. Brother Wang. Liu Neng was already sobbing. He cursed himself for being a poor student, still only a second-tier mech warrior, unqualified even to use an exoskeleton. Hearing Liu Neng's mournful cries, Wang Dang coughed up 2 mouthfuls of blood. He wasn't dead yet and someone was already wailing, what terrible luck. But he was close to it, now only 2 claws away from death. With that thought, he barely dodged another swipe from the sea beast. Damn it, go for broke, he was already on his last breath. Wang Dang took a deep breath and activated the skill head obtained from an SR card glass cannon. Glass cannon reduces defense by 100, increases attack by 200 and speed by 300. As the name suggested, his offense would be explosive, but a single touch would kill him. Head had a sudden inspiration while counting money and drew a card from the system, hitting an SR on his first try. But he never expected such a damnable skill card. Head asked the system, is this right? The system cheerfully replied, host, what's there to fear? As long as your blade is fast enough, no one can hurt you. The moment glass cannon activated, Wang Dang felt terrifying energy surge through his body, his 6 senses sharpening several times over. So this was what it felt like to be strong. But he had no time to savor it, he was a glass cannon now shattered at the slightest touch. You dare break my exoskeleton? I'll slaughter your ancestors for 18 generations. Wang Dang swung his left arm's shattered exoskeleton, stepped forward and kicked one sea beast's head into pulp. But the exoskeleton on his leg, unable to withstand such immense force, crumbled into dust. Another part lost. His chi and blood churning, Wang Dang leaped onto another sea beast's back, grabbed its horn and turned his right hand's exoskeleton into a blade. He sliced into its abdomen, cleaving it in 2. This method spared his exoskeleton. Wang Dang's eyes lit up as he turned into a blur, repeating the move on the last beast, splitting it in half, only the tough metal chain on its back holding the pieces together. Killing 3 sea beasts without a scratch finally vented his frustration. This exoskeleton, even if salvaged from a classmate's junk, had cost him 10,000 star coins in repairs. It was his hard-earned money. As Wang Dang finished off the three beasts, my Xiaomai raced against time to repair Tan Mole's mech. Tan Mole re-established their defense line with her comrades and Wang Dang's side was temporarily safe. Brother Wang. Liu Neng, his face streaked with tears and snot, emerged from behind a rock and charged straight at Wang Dang. Brother Wang, I thought I'd never see you again. Don't come near. Wang Dang saw Liu Neng's bull-like charge and sensed disaster. He was currently a glass cannon, one touch and head croak. He hadn't been killed by the sea beasts, but if this kid crashed into him and finished him off, how unjust would that be? But Liu Neng, as if deaf, kept charging straight at him. With no other option, Wang Dang swiftly sidestepped the charge. Liu Neng stumbled forward and in his flailing a small stone flew up and struck Wang Dang's right hand. An excruciating pain shot through Wang Dang's right hand as if his bones were being pried apart piece by piece. His vision went dark and he collapsed. Before losing consciousness, Wang Dang was grateful had deactivated glass cannon. Otherwise that fall would have surely killed him. This glass cannon skill was definitely not to be used lightly. System, be a decent person, will you? Brother Wang. Liu Neng lunged swiftly, catching Wang Dang's falling body with his own as a cushion and wailed, someone help. Brother Wang is dying. Hearing Liu Neng's cries, Tan Mole and the others silently quickened their pace in killing the sea beasts. Though their backs were turned as mech warriors, they were acutely aware of what was happening behind them. They felt genuine admiration for the youth who could only wield an exoskeleton. Without his courage in stepping up at the critical moment, they would have lost Tan Mole, their strongest fighter. They might have all perished here. Recalling her earlier taunts, Tan Mole wished she could slap herself. The pride of the Empire, the honor of the Imperial Military Academy, all seemed meaningless before this youth who fought sea beasts with nothing but an exoskeleton. What had just happened here was enough to shame the Academy's prodigies to death. Brother Wang, I promise I will never slack off again. Woo, don't die, Brother Wang. Wang Dang in a haze heard someone mourning for him and felt an overwhelming sense of misfortune. Although he was destined to be a short-lived soul, it was somewhat premature for mourning at this point. Wang Dang struggled to open his eyes and what greeted him was a sea of stars against the darkness. He labored to speak, I'm not dead yet, save your tears for a few more years. Liu Neng's wailing abruptly ceased and the medical pod opened a small window, allowing Wang Dang to catch a glimpse outside. Brother Wang, I thought you were about to kick the bucket. Liu Neng leaned closer, his eyes brimming with tears. Wang Dang immediately displayed a look of disgust, saying, don't let your snot drip on my face. Brother Wang, I'm just worried about you. Liu Neng pouted reproachfully, causing the onlooker My Shumai to get goosebumps. After Liu Neng finished complaining, he quickly turned and yelled outside, Doctor, come quickly. My brother is awake. Where am I? Wang Dang felt his entire body was immobilized, unable to move, and could only glance around with his eyes spotting a sea of white. This is the military hospital in Nanchang. After you fainted, the military came and took us all away. Liu Neng had an expression of relief from surviving a disaster. By the way, I tidied up all the tables and chairs and not a single one was damaged. Hearing it was a hospital, Wang Dang couldn't care less about the furniture he had fought to protect. Quick, let's go. He had always been different, easily fainting and recovering quickly after injuries. Moreover, he had now awakened his mental power and stellar abilities, which didn't match the results from his test when he was 8. If either of these abilities were discovered, he would be locked away in the Imperial Military Research Center for life. After all, there had been precedents in Nanchang's junior high, though the official reports were silent and prohibited private discussions, everyone knew the truth. To the upper echelons of the Empire, people of their class were not considered human but merely resources to be exploited at will. The brutal survival of the fittest in this world was more stark than in Wang Dang's previous one. No worries, Brother Wang. I just asked, we don't have to pay for medical fees, treatment is free. Liu Neng looked confident. This medical pod is a rare find outside, just lie down a little longer. As they were talking, a doctor in a white coat with combat gear underneath walked in. Upon entering, he didn't immediately check on Wang Dang in the medical pod but opened the panel, his expression slightly odd. Strange, the recovery speed is much faster than expected. Wang Dang's heart sank as it began to race uncontrollably. My Xiaomai attempted to lean in to see the information on the panel but was quickly thwarted by the doctor's swift hand shutting it. Then the doctor fiddled with the panel for a moment and Wang Dang felt his body lighten as the restraints were completely lifted. He immediately pushed open the door of the medical pod and sat up. The doctor, adjusting his golden-rimmed glasses with a shrewd smile in his eyes, extended a bony hand towards Wang Dang, saying, is this Wang Dang? I am Dr. Shu from the Nanchang Military District. Thank you for your contributions to Nanchang. Wang Dang paused for a moment before shaking his hand. Wang, I wonder if you have felt any abnormalities in your body lately. Dr. Shu glanced at Wang Dang with a hint of meaning in his eyes. None really? Wang Dang replied innocently, it's just that I can't afford food and often feel hungry. I'll give you money. My Xiaomai jumped out from behind Dr. Shu, resolutely stating to Wang Dang. Wang Dang glanced at the extravagant My Shumai and his gaze immediately became resolute. Indeed, he had initially come to save her. He certainly wasn't trying to seize a Mecha. How could Wang Dang be someone who prioritizes personal gain? Faced with the sudden interruption, Dr. Shu appeared somewhat displeased, but Wang Dang obviously breathed a sigh of relief. Seriously, from now on I'll cover your living expenses at the Imperial Military Academy. My Xiaomai pounded her chest with determination. It turned out that when Wang Dang had just fainted, the rescue team from the military district had arrived. Liu Neng, worried that Wang Dang wouldn't receive timely treatment, revealed that Wang Dang was a preparatory student at the Imperial Military Academy. Sure enough, the rescue team took Wang Dang to the military hospital without hesitation using the most advanced medical pod. Rest assured, as long as there's a senior sister at the Imperial Military Academy, you will be well taken care of. Mai Xiaomai felt particularly fond of the young man in the external skeleton who had saved her. Before Wang Dang could respond, Dr. Shu patted Wang Dang's shoulder and said meaningfully, "Student, I've heard about your situation too. Very well, courage is the most valuable treasure of youth. You will not be an ordinary person in the future. However, going to the Imperial Military Academy means one must lie low. That place is truly a hell for the poor." Wang Dang looked at Dr. Shu, nodded slightly but remained silent. For some reason he felt an unsettling chill towards this refined Dr. Shu deep within his heart. Even when facing the mysterious system, he had never felt this way. Meanwhile, Mai Xiaomai seemed oblivious to the tense atmosphere between the two, continuing to chatter on. "Junior, the ones with me today are also your seniors. They are busy helping the military in Nancheng eliminate lurking sea beasts and couldn't come to thank you, so I came here alone to wait for you. Sister Jasmine asked me to tell you she's sorry her attitude wasn't good before. Let me tell you, Sister Jasmine is tough on the outside but soft on the inside. You will understand if you get to know her. She's definitely not a bad person. Alright, you young people chat first, I won't disturb you. Your injuries have healed completely, you can leave at any time." Dr. Shu nodded to Wang Dang, leaving with an inscrutable smile. Nancheng has an interesting young fellow now. Leaving behind a thoughtful Wang Dang, a chatty Mai Xiaomai and Liu Neng, who nodded frequently at Mai Xiaomai. After Dr. Shu left facing the talkative Mai Xiaomai, Wang Dang pretended to be casual and extracted a lot of information about the medical pod from her. Mai Xiaomai said this medical pod could detect the state of human functions, and the liquid infused in the pod was nutrient solution infused with star energy, and no matter how serious the injury, as long as there was a breath left being placed in the pod, could save them. For someone like Wang Dang, whose intestines were almost out and whose right hand was shattered, it usually took 2 to 3 days in the medical pod to recover, but he recovered in less than 5 hours. Maybe the military has developed some new type of star energy nutrient solution that allows for rapid recovery. Mai Xiaomai said innocently, "Don't worry, Junior." Dr. Shu didn't say anything, so it must be fine. Wang Dang, somewhat unconvinced, asked, "Can this medical pod detect mental power?" Mai Xiaomai looked at Wang Dang as if he were an idiot. "You think machines that detect mental power and star abilities are cabbages? There's only one at the Imperial Military Academy in the entire Blue Star. Didn't you get tested when you were 8? If not, it's fine. After you enroll, you can apply to the teachers for a retest. Every year, many mecha warriors who are dissatisfied with their results at 8 request a retest. You can take it along with them." Wang Dang and Mai Xiaomai were chatting cheerfully, though Mai was doing most of the talking while Wang Dang and Liu Neng listened. Perhaps Mai Xiaomai had not encountered someone willing to listen to her so earnestly in a long time, for the smile never left her face. As they parted, she even insisted on adding Wang Dang's optical brain number, urging him to let her know once he arrived in the imperial capital so she as his senior could treat him to a meal. Unfortunately, Wang Dang did not have an optical brain, so they had to settle for recording the serial number of Mai Xiaomai's device with the promise that he would add her once he obtained one. "Junior, you must add me," Mai Xiaomai emphasized again before leaving. "I'll look out for you at school. Except for those cunning star energy users, no one will dare bully you." After leaving the military hospital, Wang Dang and Liu Neng tallied their earnings on the way. Excluding the tips they had pocketed, they had earned a total of 19500 star coins that day. After deducting the cost of raw materials for the tables and chairs, their net profit was 13000 star coins. Selling the furniture on the second-hand market could fetch another 500 star coins or so. Liu Neng generously took the tables and chairs and gave Wang Dang an extra 250 star coins. In the end, Wang Dang earned 8050 star coins that day, still not enough to cover the repair cost of the damaged exoskeleton. Fortunately, the 5500 star coins in tips he had pocketed helped him recover somewhat. Everyone says mech pilots and star energy users are money pits, but does no one realize that a mech warrior's repair costs are also a huge expense? He was beginning to understand why in movies mech warriors cherished their mech so dearly. It all boiled down to a lack of money. After returning home, Wang Dang stared at the shattered exoskeleton on his workbench, lost in thought. Was there a path of body cultivation in this world? If a fist hit his body, the pain would pass in a day. But if it struck his mech, the agony would linger not just for a day. It would probably hurt for months. No wonder when he applied to the Imperial Military Academy, the teachers hesitated and advised him that there were many other options besides being a mech warrior. Fields like artificial intelligence, advanced programming, or even nutrition were all indispensable to society. No wonder so many students who met the Imperial Military Academy's threshold chose other schools. When filling out his application, Wang Dang had thought simply. In his previous world, there were no such wondrous things as mechs, no star energy, no psychic power. Now that he had transmigrated to this world with both mech pilot and star energy user paths closed to him, he was determined to try the mech warrior route. What's there to fear? I've got nothing to lose. Wang Dang slammed the table. I'll go all in and make my life a blaze of glory. Having made up his mind, Wang Dang suddenly felt all the troubles that had been swirling in his head vanish. Yes, this world was full of injustice and discrimination, but what did he have to fear? He was born at the very bottom of society with little to own and little to lose. It was those who had much who should be afraid. With that thought, Wang Dang took out his treasure box, retrieved the star energy chip, gazed at it for a long moment, sighed, and wrapped it in a clean cloth. He had planned, if he saved enough money, to buy a broken spatial ring from the second-hand market and use this chip to repair it for his own use. But with school starting soon, he had to fix his exoskeleton before then. Although the academy would issue mechs after enrollment, the imperial capital was for Wang Dang a strange place fraught with dangers. Therefore he couldn't afford a period of vulnerability. He needed at least the means to defend himself. Even if he couldn't kill an enemy, he would tear a piece of flesh from them. Wang Dang put the star energy chip into his suitcase. It was time to buy an optical brain, otherwise buying and selling things would be inconvenient. In truth, Wang Dang had long wanted an optical brain, but the price, often 5,000 to 10,000 star coins or more, daunted him. Moreover, since optical brains were bound to biometric data, second-hand ones were out of the question. Coupled with the exoskeleton he had purchased, which had nearly drained his savings, the matter of an optical brain had been put off. However, he had heard that the Imperial Military Academy enforced strict military management, with students prohibited from leaving without reason and only 1 day off per month. Without an optical brain, he would be utterly stranded at school. "System, do you have any star coins?" Wang Dang sighed deeply and asked. "Dear host, I do not have a star coin exchange function. Life is precious, how can it be measured by such vulgar things as money?" Wang Dang rolled his eyes so hard they nearly disappeared. What he lacked now were precisely those vulgar things. Oh well, he would take things one step at a time. If he got too hungry, he could always ask my Xiaomai for a meal or two. Surely the vast Imperial Military Academy wouldn't let anyone starve to death. 2 days later, in the early morning, Wang Dang carried his old-fashioned suitcase and silently arrived at the hover station, waiting for the Imperial Capital Express. His timing was precise. After a few minutes, the express arrived silently. Just as he picked up his suitcase to board, a frantic shout came from behind. Brother Wang, wait for me." Wang Dang turned around and saw Liu Ning drenched in sweat waving at him from the crowd. "Why are you here?" Wang Dang asked, slightly surprised. Since he was leaving South City for school and the tsunami had been 95 successfully blocked but still damaged many coastal houses, the appliance repair business was booming, leaving him too busy to contact Liu Ning. "You bought your ticket with my optical brain, remember?" Liu Ning panted as he ran up to Wang Dang, flashing a bright grin. "Brother Wang, this is for you, or a graduation gift?" Wang Dang hesitated, eyeing the optical brain box in Liu Ning's hand without reaching out. Had this miser suddenly changed his ways, gifting him the latest model? Could there be a bomb inside? Seeing Wang Dang's wary expression, Liu Ning's face fell. He shoved the box into Wang Dang's hands. "Over the years I've made a good amount of money following you. And I heard the Imperial Military Academy is full of beauties and the Imperial capital is incredibly bustling. I've never been there. This optical brain isn't free, you'll have to send me plenty of photos of the pretty girls." "Fatty you." Wang Dang was at a loss for words facing this old friend's sudden gesture. "All right, the train's here. Hurry up." Liu Ning circled behind Wang Dang and pushed him toward the train. "The first contact in the optical brain's friend list is me. If there are no pictures of beauties, we're not friends anymore. Deal?" Wang Dang nodded firmly. "I'll remember." He didn't specify whether he meant the photos of beauties or this bond of friendship. Liu Ning watched the Imperial Capital Express pull away and cursed loudly. Damn it. Why study so well and go so far? As he cursed, tears streamed down his face. Wang Dang sat by the window listening to the guy in the front seat bragging on a video call. Yeah, it only takes 3 hours to get to the Imperial main star system by spaceship, while it takes an hour and a half from Nanchang to the capital. If you ask me, Blue Star is still too backward. Wang Dang fiddled listlessly with the light brain Liu Ning had given him. Though it wasn't his first time using one, this was the latest model and many of its functions remained a mystery to him. Just as he was familiarizing himself with the device, a friend request popped up in the bottom right corner. Opening it, he saw the profile picture was a photo of my Xiaomai with a cat. After accepting my Xiaomai's messages came like a machine gun. "Junior, why didn't you add me? It was Liu Ning who told me your light brain number." "Forget it in your senior. I'll let it slide. You should be arriving in the capital soon, right? Wait at the school gate and I'll welcome you and help with registration. The capital is way more fun than Nanchang. When I'm free, I'll take you to eat some good food." Wang Dang replied, "No need, senior. I'd like to explore on my own." Wang Dang declined my Xiaomai's invitation partly because he didn't know how to face her enthusiasm. On the other hand, there was no other reason. Back then he had simply acted to save someone in danger without any ulterior motives. My Xiaomai was incredibly sweet and cute. In a military academy, a girl like her likely had countless suitors. If he, a new student, appeared too familiar with her, he might not even know how he died. Had heard from the teachers that the Imperial Military Academy was nothing like ordinary schools. People died there as casually as playing games. "Junior, you're so cold. How about this? Let me treat you to a meal to repay your life-saving grace. Don't refuse your senior again, okay? Otherwise your senior will really get angry." On the other side of the screen, my Xiaomai was already puffing out her cheeks. She had never been rejected like this in her life. But this junior had saved her and Sister Molly, so she wouldn't have bothered otherwise. Wang Dang replied, "Okay, thank you." After replying to my Shumai, the announcement on the maglev train rang out. "Dear passengers, we have arrived at the capital station. Please take your belongings and exit in an orderly manner. Fighting is prohibited in the station. Violators will be fined at least 500,000 with no upper limit." Wang Dang picked up his suitcase and followed the crowd off the train. Soon after, a young man ahead of him leaped into a mecha with a whoosh. "I've been holding back for too long. Today in taking you down." Another person was just as fast, immediately boarding a pitch-black mecha. The surrounding passengers seemed accustomed to such scenes, quickly scattering and leaving a large open space for the two mechas. Unlike the others, Wang Dang didn't flee. He stopped and began admiring the two mechas with keen interest. Neither mecha was an official mass-produced model, indicating that both owners came from wealthy or powerful families who could afford custom mechas designed by mecha masters. The red mecha that attacked first likely used some fire element material, leaving trails of flaming afterimages as it moved. Wang Dang thought the designer of that red mecha must have a great eye for aesthetics. In contrast, the black mecha prioritized function over form, but its power was not to be underestimated. He stood there mesmerized, staring at the two mechas until mechanical police arrived to clear the area, only leaving with reluctant backward glances. The capital was truly different. Before even leaving the station, he had witnessed two mechas, something unimaginable in Nanchang. Wang Dang's heart was brimming with excitement. Arriving in the capital meant he was one step closer to his dream of building mechas himself. He could hardly wait to delve into the intricate and exquisite structures of mecha design. "System, I want to draw a card again." A sudden inspiration struck Wang Dang and he summoned the system in his mind. "All right, host. Choose a number from 1 to 30. 9. Please let this time be a reliable card." Ding. "Congratulations, host. You've drawn an SR card." Wang Dang felt a surge of joy. Though the previous skill card, Glass Cannon, was unreliable, he could actually feel the increase in strength and speed. "Congratulations, host. It's a mecha doubling talent card. While crafting mechas, you have a 20 chance to double one performance value, a 5 chance to double two, and a 1 chance to double all three." Wang Dang's eyes lit up. Even with just a 1 chance, if he mass-produced them, one mecha was bound to have all three values doubled. He could sell the rest, essentially getting a top-tier mecha for free. A mecha's 3 performance values were defense, firepower, and mobility. A mecha's defense depended on the materials used. Better materials meant higher defense, ensuring the pilot's safety inside the cockpit. Firepower was tied to the weapons equipped. The most basic mechas typically had laser guns or hand cannons. Advanced mechas, however, boasted a wide variety of weapons, usually tailored to the pilot's preferences. These weapons were often made from materials imbued with stellar energy, giving them formidable power. Mobility depended on the mecha's weight and the mecha master's design. The more intricate the blueprint, the higher the mobility. Higher mobility meant greater speed and better handling, but it also required the pilot to have exceptional agility. I knew it, a gambler doesn't lose every day. Wang Dang clenched his fist lightly. 2 SR cards in a row, the next one was bound to be an SSR. Amidst the splendor and wealth of the capital, Wang Dang straightened his back, picked up his suitcase with renewed confidence and headed toward the Imperial Military Academy. He was destined to be the greatest mecha master and pilot of the future. As for being a stellar energy master, he knew that anything linked to stellar energy was exorbitantly expensive. Even with official resource support, it was like a drop in the bucket. So he would only consider that path when he was truly wealthy and no longer had to worry about making ends meet. Wang Dang arrived at the majestic gates of the Imperial Military Academy aboard a public star shuttle. Though this was merely a branch campus on Blue Star, the towering edifice before him left him lost in awe for a long moment. Standing before the Imperial Military Academy, the bustling crowd at the entrance seemed as insignificant as a swarm of ants. Local students from the capital report here, out-of-town students report over there. The call of an enrollment instructor snapped Wang Dang back to reality. He collected himself and surveyed the scene before him. The registration area was divided into 2 sections. For local students, the process took place inside a corridor on campus, its depths obscured from view. However, the out-of-town students' registration point was starkly visible, a temporary awning where students queued under the scorching sun, yet not a single complaint or murmur escaped their lips. Meanwhile, at the local students' registration area, despite the spacious corridor shielding them from the blazing sunlight, voices of discontent filled the air as they incessantly urged those ahead to hurry. Witnessing this scene, Wang Dang clicked his tongue in amazement. He had always known that school was a microcosm of society, but during his time at Nanchang Middle School and Nanchang High School, this microcosm had remained largely veiled. But at the Imperial Military Academy, it was an unvarnished, starkly realistic society laid bare for all to see. Wang Dang walked to the end of the out-of-town students' line and obediently joined the queue. In front of him stood a scrawny fellow with shrewd jet black eyes. "Hey classmate, did you get lost? Local students queue over there." The scrawny one eyed Wang Dang suspiciously. Though this classmate dressed modestly, the optical brain on his wrist was clearly the latest Blade 24 model with a starting price of at least 300,000 star coins. While other out-of-town students lugged large bags and bundles, Wang Dang carried only a single suitcase, a telltale sign of someone possessing a spatial ring. "I'm from Nanchang City," Wang Dang said with a slight nod. "I'm in the right line?" The scrawny fellow's eyes darted and he immediately extended a hand to Wang Dang with a beaming smile. "A pleasure? I'm Li Yang from Dongcheng. Just call me Monkey." Wang Dang gave a brief introduction and soon the two young men were on familiar terms. "Man, your family's pretty loaded, huh? Not like me, I'm destined to be someone else's stepping stone." Monkey trailed off, his face falling as if recalling something unpleasant. Wang Dang shook his head. "No, I'm not well off either." Monkey sighed and shook his head again. "All right, buddy, no need to comfort me. I know the rules of this academy. Don't worry, I won't ask for anything unreasonable." "Who?" Wang Dang looked at Monkey, bewildered by his sudden self-pity. "You clearly have no idea. Well, your family's rich, so you don't need to bother with all this. I checked out plenty of guides from senior students on my optical brain beforehand, survival guide for impoverished students. Rest assured you'll survive in this school and thrive." Monkey rambled on. Survival guide for impoverished students. Wang Dang pressed his tongue against the roof of his mouth. Good heavens, wasn't this tailor-made for him? Monkey was about to explain further when the bearded instructor up front slammed the table. Those at the back silence. Filthy rats who don't know the rules, why even bother coming to school? Monkey immediately fell silent, not daring to turn his head. Seeing this, Wang Dang activated his optical brain and searched the star network for the survival guide for impoverished students Monkey had mentioned. Soon he found the post on the forum of the Imperial Military Academy's Blue Star branch. First, at the academy, speak and act with caution, keep your head down and avoid provoking anyone with a stray glance that might lead to a duel invitation. Second, avoid practical combat classes whenever possible, as they may involve mixed sessions with other classes. If you encounter an S class or above, your mech is as good as scrap. Note, if your mech is scrapped at the academy, you're as good as dead, even a stray dog would take a bite out of you. Third, build good relations with students from the mech engineer department. You might score free mech repairs, but there's also a risk of botched repairs leading to total loss. Fourth, if someone wants to spar and you're sure you can win, kneel, kowtow 3 times and bark 3 times like a dog. This is the signal for surrender and the opponent will usually let you off. If challenged to a duel, refuse without hesitation, don't act on impulse. Fifth, spend money to upgrade your mech. Spend money to upgrade your mech. Spend money to upgrade your mech. Important things must be said 3 times. Only strength can improve your survival rate at the academy. This is the Imperial Military Academy, where the strong rule and the weak are mere stepping stones. Do whatever it takes to enhance your power. After reading, Wang Dang felt a surge of heat in his chest mingled with an indescribable emotion. The heat came from the realization that he could now freely browse the star network with his optical brain, no longer needing to sneak into the school's computer lab. He could absorb the knowledge of this world anytime, anywhere, any knowledge he needed. If only he hadn't skimped on buying this optical brain earlier. The indescribable emotion stemmed from the fact that despite already knowing the truth of this world, he was still struck by these raw, unvarnished rules. Indeed, this was no longer the civilized world he came from. In this era where might reign supreme, humans were like beasts, flaunting their savagery and primal desires to the entire world without restraint. A tall, burly man behind Wang Dang watched with a complex expression as the rich kid ahead of him used the latest high-end optical brain to browse the survival guide for impoverished students. And to make matters worse, he hadn't even switched on privacy mode. Was he deliberately showing it off to those behind him? Just because his family had money, did he have to be so contemptuous? Those behind naturally witnessed this scene as well, but they dared not voice their anger. After all, before the semester began, they had thoroughly researched the Imperial Military Academy's protocols. At the academy, the lives of wealthy and impoverished students were worlds apart. The rich could pick fights freely and practice relentlessly in combat classes without worrying about mech repair costs. The poor, on the other hand, had to tread carefully at every turn, for once their mech was damaged, they could never afford the repairs. Thus, even in combat classes with only classmates, they were fraught with hesitation, wishing they could jump out of their mechs and fight barehanded. How could their strength ever improve at this rate? So at the academy, the last people you wanted to offend were the rich. Even if they weren't as skilled as you, they fought without concern for losses. Compared to the hesitant poor, their odds of victory could leap from a mere 40% to 80%. At this moment, Wang Dang was oblivious to the resentful glares from the row behind him. Like a dry sponge, he was utterly absorbed in soaking up knowledge from the forum, unable to tear himself away. His classmates behind could only watch helplessly as he moved from the survival guide for impoverished students to how to cling to a mech engineer's thigh, and then to those days I was bullied by the academy's rich beauties. Their faces turned green with fury. The sheer audacity, it was utterly intolerable. The enrollment process was swift. Though the burly man looked fierce, his hands moved with remarkable efficiency, sparing Wang Dang from lingering long under the scorching sun. Wang Dang was assigned to Freshman Class 2, a temporary class for out-of-town students. Once the mechas were distributed, a practical combat assessment would determine their final class placements. The out-of-town students were divided into 3 classes, A, B, and C, while the local students from the Imperial capital were sorted into SSS, SS, and S classes. Clutching his dormitory card, Wang Dang arrived at room 222. He glanced down to confirm the number. This was indeed the place. The dormitory was a 4-person room, still empty at the moment. Wang Dang placed his suitcase on the desk by the left of the entrance and then left. He had just learned from his optical brain that the Imperial Military Academy offered a relatively flexible curriculum. Apart from practical courses taught by instructors, all theoretical knowledge was stored in the school's library. Thus Wang Dang planned to head to the library and try his luck, hoping to find a way to study the fundamentals of mecha engineering. After perusing the forums, he had roughly figured out how to survive in this school. Strength came first, but the second indispensable asset was star coins. Among the many professions, the fastest way to earn money was undoubtedly as a mecha engineer. After all, even the mighty Star Energy Masters required a fully defensive mecha for protection. Otherwise they might be ambushed by mecha warriors during the casting prelude. The library was considered a relatively safe haven in the Imperial Military Academy, as the students who frequented it were mostly Star Energy Masters or mecha engineers. Few mecha warriors would be foolish enough to come here, and among the three professions it was the mecha warriors who were the most belligerent. These were the insights Wang Dang had gleaned from the forums. If there was truly nowhere to hide, the library was undoubtedly a good choice. From the outside, the Imperial Military Academy's library resembled a giant dumpling standing within the school. Upon entering, Wang Dang headed straight for the mecha section on the second floor, beginning to browse introductory books on mecha. Just as Wang Dang was engrossed in selecting books, a surprised female voice came from behind. "Junior, what are you doing here?" It was Mai Xiaomai's voice. Wang Dang hastily shoved the books in his arms back onto the shelf, turned around and plastered a standard smile on his face. "Hi. What a coincidence." Mai Xiaomai happily approached. "Hey Junior, aren't you a mecha warrior? Why are you reading on the second floor?" Well, Wang Dang had already prepared his excuse, so he replied calmly, as the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy and you will never be defeated. I figured if I could thoroughly study mecha theory, I'd understand the enemy's mecha better and I wouldn't be at a disadvantage in battle. Besides, mastering mecha theory also helps with controlling one's own mecha. Wow! Mai Xiaomai's eyes lit up after hearing his words. She gave him a hearty slap on the back. "Junior, you're really thoughtful." Not only Mai Xiaomai but even her companions wore contemplative expressions. Mecha warriors were notoriously brawny but simple-minded, while mecha engineers were logically rigorous and meticulous. The most cunning were the Star Energy Masters. Was this young junior really not a new student in the Star Energy department? "Since we've met by fate, let me treat you to a meal at the cafeteria." Mai Xiaomai's eyes crinkled into crescents as she smiled. "He'll show you around the school too." Wang Dang instinctively wanted to refuse, but at the mention of cafeteria his stomach let out a reflexive growl. Perhaps after years of consuming nutrient fluids, his stomach and mouth were desperately trying to reconcile their differences. "Come on, you're hungry." Mai Xiaomai began tugging at Wang Dang. "Otherwise people might think him mistreating you as a senior." "Yeah, Junior, don't be shy. Mai's friends are our friends too." Mai Xiaomai's friends also noticed Wang Dang's awkwardness and chimed in to persuade him. Since they had put it that way, refusing would be impolite. So Wang Dang readily agreed. "You just arrived, so you probably haven't gotten a library card yet. Put it on my tab." Mai Xiaomai waved her hand magnanimously, telling Wang Dang to pick whatever books he wanted. Though they were called books, they couldn't be opened physically, their contents could only be read through a brain-computer interface. "Thanks, senior." Wang Dang immediately accepted. According to the forum veterans, getting a library card was a significant expense, and each book had a different rental price based on its content. But one thing was certain, anything related to mecha engineers or Star Energy Masters wouldn't come cheap. After selecting his books, Wang Dang followed Mai Xiaomai and her group to the cafeteria. Once they sat down in the cafeteria, it became Wang Dang's personal showtime. Mai Xiaomai's mouth hung slightly open as she watched him wolf down his 5th serving of chicken leg rice. "Add another serving of chicken leg rice," she said dazedly to her companion. She was starting to wonder if Wang Dang had foreseen meeting her at the library today and deliberately starved himself for a week to fleece her. But if he intended to fleece her, he only ordered the cheapest chicken leg rice on the menu. "Thanks, senior," Wang Dang managed to say amidst his feasting. "You're welcome. Junior, are you sure eating like this won't cause problems?" Mai Xiaomai looked at him with concern. "I've always had a big appetite," Wang Dang mumbled indistinctly. Mai Xiaomai nodded slightly, looking a bit more relieved. Otherwise she was afraid Wang Dang might eat himself to death right there. "Xiaomai, about that space ring you asked me about last time, I found someone to repair it. It'll cost 300,000 star coin," said a girl with bangs sitting next to Mai Xiaomai. 300,000 for a chip replacement. "Xiaomai, why don't you just buy a new one?" A boy sitting next to Wang Dang looked puzzled. "I really like this little rabbit ring." "They don't sell it anymore," Mai Xiaomai said with a smile. 300,000 is fine. "When can it be fixed?" Wang Dang jerked his head up from the chicken leg rice, his eyes gleaming. 200,000? I can fix it. He still hadn't sold the chip head taken from the mechanical crab. After checking the seafood market, he learned the average selling price was only around 120,000. Mai Xiaomai was his senior and had treated him to a meal. Earning 80,000 was a fair deal. "Can you really fix it?" Mai Xiaomai tilted her head, eyeing Wang Dang, who had just downed half a serving of chicken leg rice in 3 bites, clearly skeptical. Wang Dang wiped his mouth and said firmly yes. In dormitory 222, Wang Dang sat at his desk scrutinizing a pink bunny-shaped ring in his hand. He had just tried to look up the internal structure of this spatial ring on his optical computer but found no identical model. However, he figured that the internal structure of such spatial rings should be more or less the same. He would have a rough idea of the minor variations after disassembling it. He was quite curious why my Shumaya mech pilot would need someone else to fix something as simple as replacing a chip. Yet he suppressed his curiosity as he was eager to earn this money. With it he could thoroughly upgrade the mech issued by the school and boost his combat prowess. Wang Dang put on his goggles, opened his toolbox and began dismantling the tiny spatial ring. After taking it apart he understood why my Xiaomai dared not repair it herself. Mech pilots usually dealt with large parts and gears, but the internal structure of this spatial ring was minuscule and delicate. For slight misstep could damage its inner components. Only a steady hand with a decade of experience could fix it properly. Having repaired all sorts of items in Nancheng over the years, Wang Dang had no trouble with such tiny precise parts. He carefully avoided the complex structures and used needle-thin tweezers to extract the chip inside. Then he replaced it with a functioning stellar energy chip, snapped each small slot into place and reassembled the spatial ring exactly as before. After awakening his spiritual power talent, Wang Dang could clearly sense stellar energy flowing within the ring while the replaced chip no longer held any trace of it. Closing his eyes he probed the spatial ring with his spiritual sense and immediately perceived its inner space, roughly 10 square meters, the size of an average small bedroom. It seemed my Xiaomai came from a wealthy family. Ordinary spatial rings on the market usually had only about 5 square meters. Wang Dang put the ring away, planning to return it in a few days to create the impression that he had painstakingly repaired it. After all, since she had paid so much, he had to make her feel the expense was worthwhile. Wang Dang was a shrewd businessman, adept at providing emotional value to his clients. Just as he tidied up his cluttered desk, he heard voices outside the dormitory door. His roommates were returning. I wonder which dorm that chicken leg brother is in. I really need to learn from him. He's amazing. Several beautiful senior sisters sat across from him, but he didn't spare them a glance, his eyes fixed only on his chicken leg rice. He just enrolled and already got acquainted with senior sisters from the mech pilot department. I bet he's a stellar energy master. Monkey opened the door while chatting with his roommate behind him. Spotting Wang Dang, he paused, then broke into a delighted grin. Hey buddy, you're in my dorm. Dude, let me tell you, we just heard outside that there's a legendary figure among the freshmen. Monkey approached Wang Dang with easy familiarity, leaving Wang Dang a bit at a loss. Mostly because the legendary figure Monkey was talking about seemed to be him. Were these people so inexperienced that eating 6 servings of chicken leg rice in one go was something extraordinary? While Monkey chatted with Wang Dang, the other 2 roommates quietly observed him as well. The most conspicuous thing about Wang Dang was the latest model optical computer on his wrist, followed by his minimalist bed area, just an old-fashioned suitcase on the desk. This led them to the same conclusion as Monkey: this quietly dressed man must be a wealthy person hiding his true depth. As they sized him up, Wang Dang silently assessed them in return. Among the 3 roommates, Monkey's situation was revealed without any probing. He spilled everything himself. The other 2 were a pale chubby guy and a young man with wheat-colored skin. With Monkey's help, Wang Dang soon grew familiar with them. The chubby one was nicknamed Luo Depang, whose family ran a mining market, a mining scion. The wheat-skinned youth was called He Ji, from a small city not far from the imperial capital. He Ji, mentioning his hometown's proximity to the capital, sighed deeply. Just over 100 kilometers away, I almost became a true imperial. Monkey and Luo Depang looked at He Ji with sympathetic expressions. Without that 100-kilometer gap, He Ji might now be like those local students from the imperial capital, living in single dorms instead of cramming into a room with the 3 of them. One day he'll settle in the imperial capital and become a true imperial. Loyalty to the empire. He Ji clenched his fist, his gaze unwavering. Loyalty to the empire. Monkey bumped fists with He Ji, his expression equally resolute. Even Luo Depang raised his fist to join them. Loyalty to the empire. Then they turned expectant eyes toward Wang Dang. He turned away, opening his suitcase and pretending to organize his belongings, declining to partake in this childish pledge. Loyalty to the Empire or the Federation, he was loyal only to himself. Though born in territory under the Empire's rule, when he had nearly starved to death multiple times and faced life's hardships, the Empire had never extended a helping hand. He had chosen the military academy only because it offered access to mechs, waived tuition fees, and provided a monthly stipend. Unfazed by Wang Dang's indifference, the other 3 quickly shifted the topic. Tomorrow morning we'll receive the school-issued mechs. I'm so excited. He Ji and Monkey, sharing similar backgrounds, chatted enthusiastically. Yeah, he'll take good care of it. Monkey clasped his hands together, looking devout. Suddenly recalling something, Monkey turned excitedly to Wang Dang and Luo Depang. Dang Ji and Depang Ji probably look down on the school's mechs, right? When you get custom mechs from a mech engineer, you've got to let me see them. After entering the military academy, they were no longer civilians but part of the military, eligible for custom mechs. Thus, most wealthy students, upon joining the Imperial Military Academy, commissioned the Mech Engineer Association to build personalized mechs. I've already submitted an application to the Mech Engineer Association. The process should take at least a month. Luo Depang flashed a confident smile. Not sure yet? Well, see. Wang Dang, though puzzled why Monkey lumped him in with Luo Depang, was indeed unsatisfied with the school's standard issue mech. He would soon have 2,000,000 stellar coins in hand which he planned to use for mech modifications. So he didn't rule it out entirely. This evasive reply only reinforced the other's belief that he was hiding his true wealth. Clearly the richest man in dormitory 222 was Wang Dang. The next morning Monkey rose early to help everyone queue for their mecha necklaces while Wang Dang and the others were still sound asleep in the dormitory. Luo Depang and Hei Ji had been playing games on their neural computers until 3 in the morning while Wang Dang had been using his brain-computer interface to study the basic mecha books he had brought back learning until late into the night. He discovered that the theory of mecha was largely similar to the mechanical principles he had learned in his past life, especially regarding component shafts. The differences were minimal. The only distinction was that most materials used in mecha construction were harvested from exotic beasts imbued with stellar energy. Thus, whether in the construction or the crafting process of a mecha, one must rely on spiritual power as an aid, otherwise the resulting mecha would be no different from an ordinary machine lacking the formidable destructive power and defensive capabilities of a true mecha. After grasping the general principles, Wang Dang felt a sense of confidence and his faith in modifying his own mecha grew stronger. However, before he could start modifying his own mecha, he still had to find a way to thoroughly study the custom mecha of others. After Monkey returned with the 4 mecha necklaces, everyone eagerly headed to the open space in front of the dormitory to familiarize themselves with their new mecha, except for Wang Dang, who remained immersed in the ocean of knowledge, unable to tear himself away. He was particularly looking forward to the day he would truly pilot a mecha, but the mecha design blueprints left by predecessors in the neural computer were so exquisitely intricate that they dazzled him and he couldn't bear to leave even for a moment. In just a day and a half, Wang Dang had finished reading the 3 books he had borrowed from the library. Although they were books once linked to the brain-computer interface, they were filled with illustrations and even included patient explanations from seniors, giving Wang Dang the illusion that the gates of the mecha world had swung open for him. After journeying through the realm of mecha, Wang Dang snapped back to reality to find that it was already dark outside. Luo Depang and Hei Ji were already sitting together gaming on their neural computers while Monkey was lying on his bed fiddling with his own neural computer, engrossed in something unknown. Wang Dang sat up from the bed, stretching his limbs slightly. Now thoroughly familiar with every part of the mecha, he was eager to delve into studying his new mecha. He pulled out the mecha necklace Monkey had given him that morning, but as he prepared to get off the bed, his vision suddenly began to darken. Only then did he remember that he hadn't eaten anything since last night. It was fortunate he had those 6 servings of chicken leg rice, or he wouldn't have lasted this long. Hey! Hey! Before Wang Dang lost consciousness, the panicked shouts of Monkey and the others echoed in his ears. Dr. Shu, how is he? You young people these days, relying on your good health, neglect your daily routine and skip meals. Isn't it natural for your body to break down? 2 voices lingered in Wang Dang's ears. He struggled to open his eyes and found that his body felt much stronger than before. Although there's nothing serious now, I suggest this student Wang stay in the medical office for observation today. A man in a white coat stood with his back to Wang Dang. Brother Dang, you're finally awake. You scared me to death. Monkey Sharp had noticed that Wang Dang had opened his eyes and quickly came over, looking at him with concern. Wang Dang shook his head about to speak when his pupils suddenly contracted. The man in the white coat turned around and it was none other than Dr. Shu from the Southern City Military Hospital. Student Wang, you really are plagued by misfortune. Dr. Shu approached with a gentle smile. It's only the 2nd day of enrollment and you're already in the medical office. Wang Dang rubbed the goosebumps on his arm, feigning calmness. Dr. Shu, what are you doing here? Dr. Shu adjusted his glasses, explaining, I've been transferred from the military hospital to the military academy. What a coincidence. Wang Dang lifted his head, staring directly at Dr. Shu as if trying to find a flaw in his expression. He didn't believe in such coincidences. Dr. Shu smiled, pulled a bottle of military green nutrient fluid from his pocket, opened it and handed it to Wang Dang. This is a nutrient fluid specially supplied by the academy. Drink it, you'll feel better. Wang Dang took it and downed it in one gulp. Thank you, Dr. Shu. Student Wang, you need to pay attention to nutrition. Drink more stellar energy nutrient fluid regularly, or it's good for your health. Dr. Shu looked Wang Dang up and down, a glint of light reflecting off his glasses. Stellar energy nutrient fluid. Isn't that something stellar energy masters need? Monkey muttered in confusion. Do us mecha warriors need it too? Drinking a little occasionally won't hurt. Dr. Shu turned to Monkey with a smile. But you can't rely on it like a stellar energy master would unless you're exceptionally gifted. The latter part of his words were clearly directed at Wang Dang as he turned to scrutinize him. By the way, student, I'll write 2 leave slips for you. Take them to the dormitory supervisor. You 2 will stay in the medical office today. Dr. Shu pulled a pad of leave slips from his white coat pocket and scribbled a couple of lines. In staying too? Monkey pointed at himself, puzzled. Trust me, it's best you stay here. Dr. Shu handed the slip to Monkey with a smile. Go quickly and come back. All right. Though confused, Monkey didn't waste words. He took the slip and left, leaving only Dr. Shu and Wang Dang in the spacious ward. What is your purpose? Wang Dang hesitated for a moment, then asked directly. Dr. Shu stared at Wang Dang for a long while before breaking into a smile. As the school doctor of the military academy, I naturally wish for student Wang to enjoy good health. With that, he moved a box of military green nutrient fluid from behind and placed it beside Wang Dang's bed. Take this. 3 bottles a day. Come to the medical office for more when you finish. Wang Dang looked at the small box of nutrient fluid and swallowed hard. After drinking just one bottle, he felt an unprecedented comfort in his body, like a traveler long parched in the desert suddenly receiving a downpour of sweet rain. Even the system had just prompted him that this should be his nutritional standard from now on. Is this stellar energy nutrient fluid? Wang Dang asked uncertainly. If it were stellar energy nutrient fluid, even a stellar energy master only consumed 1 bottle a day. Wouldn't drinking 3 bottles a day cause his body to explode? This is military-grade stellar energy nutrient fluid containing more than 3 times the stellar energy of commercially available ones. Dr. Shu looked down at Wang Dang, explaining. But trust me, your body needs this much energy. His gaze was that of someone admiring a satisfactory work. Trust me, I won't harm you. Wang Dang, upon hearing Dr. Zhu's words, was shrouded in a cloud of suspicion. He couldn't determine for a moment whether his body's need for so much energy was due to the system. But the one thing he was certain of was that the Dr. Shu before him had already seen that his physique was different from ordinary people. He must have noticed it back at the Southern City Military Region Hospital. Yet he chose not to report this to his superiors. At least until now, no one from the military had come looking for him. But he had followed all the way from Southern City to the capital and given him so many valuable nutrient solutions. An ordinary school doctor at a military academy could never have access to so much military-grade star energy nutrient solution. So this was also Dr. Shu voluntarily handing him a weakness. Why are you helping me? Wang Dang asked tentatively after carefully choosing his words. This is an investment. Dr. Shu took off his glasses and wiped them casually. Perhaps there will come a time when I need your help. Aren't you afraid that'll take what you give and do nothing in return? Wang Dang narrowed his eyes. You won't, Dr. Shu said calmly. Alright, get some rest. A friendly tip, don't go back to the dormitory tonight. Shortly after Dr. Shu left, Monkey returned looking at Wang Dang with concern. Brother Dang, are you feeling better? You just fell straight off the bed, you nearly scared us to death. I feel like I could knock out an ox with one punch. Wang Dang laughed and punched the air, actually producing a whistling sound. Forget it, since Dr. Shu wants you to stay for observation, I'll stay here with you tonight. Monkey said, looking unconvinced. Wang Dang suddenly remembered Dr. Zhu's words, though he didn't know what he meant. But Dr. Shu hadn't harmed him yet. Since he said it was an investment, he was probably acting with good intentions for now. Right, you should stay here with me tonight. Wang Dang had a bad feeling. Is everything okay in the dorm? I just came from there, it's fine. Monkey laughed. Hey G and Fatty Luo plan to stay up all night again anyway. I can actually get a good night's sleep here. Hearing that Hey G and Fatty Luo were planning another all-night gaming session, Wang Dang smiled knowingly. It reminded him of the old days in college when all 4 of them in the dorm would game together. But not here. He had struggled for so many years and finally had a chance to enter the mysterious world of mechas. He had too much to do. Thinking about it, Wang Dang regretted not asking Monkey to bring a book back when he went. Monkey got a pillow from outside, lay down on the single sofa next to the hospital bed and started scrolling through his light brain. Wang Dang also opened his own light brain and began browsing various mecha pilot forums on the Star Net. Meanwhile, in the freshman dormitory building for out-of-town students, a storm was brewing. Stay in your dorms and don't move, got it? A group of youths in tight combat suits were kicking at the doors of the freshman dorms, threatening and intimidating. If you wander around, you'll face the consequences. These intruders were clearly upperclassmen from the military academy. The black combat suits they wore were standard issue from the academy's mecha warrior system, which freshmen having just enrolled hadn't received yet. Fatty Luo and Hey Ji had turned off their game as soon as the commotion started outside. Hearing the warnings from the senior students, they were both extremely nervous. The forums never said the seniors would stage a midnight raid. Hey Ji swallowed hard, staring wide-eyed at Fatty Luo. Check the freshman group. Fatty Luo reminded, hastily fumbling to pull up the freshman group chat on his light brain. It was one thing not to look, but when they did, they were both shocked. Messages were flying in the group, all unanimously warning everyone not to leave their dorms. A few hotheads who had ignored the warnings and gone out had their newly issued mechas destroyed by the seniors. Many freshmen were actively sharing the information they had gathered. I heard it was planned by a sophomore from the mecha department to give us newbies a welcome party. Good luck, everyone. I've never heard of such a tradition in previous years. Come on, rules are made by the strong. We're new here and don't know anything, so we're just putty in the hands of the upperclassmen. We're so unlucky, why did it have to be our year? A look on the bright side. Maybe next year we can bully the freshmen. Fatty Luo and Hey Ji pressed their heads together, their eyes wide as they read the comments. I mean, some people are unbelievable. We haven't even gotten through this yet and he's already thinking about bullying others. Hey Ji said indignantly. You should focus on how we're going to get through tonight first. Fatty Luo sighed. He knew the military academy was dangerous and had done his research before enrolling, but he never expected that this year the seniors would be bored enough to launch an attack before the semester even officially started. Sit tight, little darlings. Big Senior is coming for a room check, Tilda. A blonde youth called out wickedly from the hallway and his companions burst into laughter. Haha, I thought this year's freshmen would have some tough guys, but they're all so docile. Yeah, what about that chicken leg guy? Isn't he one of this year's newbies? If we catch chicken leg, do you think his senior sister will come after us? I heard she's from the Mecha engineer department. Upon hearing his companion's words, the blonde youth sneered disdainfully. Oh, I'm so scared of the senior's little darling. What kind of mecha warrior hides behind a woman? All right, brother Jiao, let's start the room check. Can't let the boss down on this fun we've got. A stocky companion said to the blonde. Then let's go meet our sweet little junior schoolmates. Jiao Zhe and his group were not far from dorm 222, so Fatty Luo and Hei Ji heard their conversation clearly. Hei Ji had already clenched his fists, muscles bulging under his black t-shirt, veins standing out on his neck. They've gone too far. Calling a man his size sweet little darling was an utter humiliation. He had never been so insulted in his life. Fatty Luo's face was also grim. They had been raised since childhood to be mecha warriors, the epitome of manliness. How could they tolerate such an insult? One after another, the sounds of doors being kicked open echoed down the hallway, quickly drawing closer to dorm 222. Soon a loud crash echoed as a thin black-haired youth kicked open the door to dormitory 222, causing Luo Depang and Heiji to instinctively stand up. What are you doing? Sit down. The thin youth pointed at the two, arrogantly shouting. Luo Depang quick-witted stopped Heiji and pulled him down to sit. Although he had only interacted with Heiji for a short time, Luo Depang could tell that Heiji was a passionate youth, worried he might impulsively confront these people. These individuals spoke with a local accent from the imperial capital and were upperclassmen. They were not someone he could provoke. Seeing the two sit down, the thin youth cast a disdainful glance and began surveying the dormitory. Oh. The thin youth moved to Wang Dang's desk as if discovering something remarkable, calling out to his companions waiting outside, Zhao Ji, come quickly. He raised a book titled Fundamentals of Mecha Construction in his hand and raised his eyebrows at Luo Depang and Heiji. Is there a mecha engineer among you? Jiao soon entered with two lackeys showing interest in the book in the thin youth's hand. Oh, we have a scholar among this year's mecha freshmen. Is it because you can't afford the costs of the mecha, planning to build one yourself? As soon as these words were spoken, several of them burst into laughter, seemingly mocking the book's owner for overestimating himself. Heiji glared fiercely at the unexpected guests before managing to hold back his voice under Luo Depang's silent signal. Jiao approached Heiji, casually kicking his chair. Where is the other person? Why are there only you two? It's like this senior one of our roommates fainted today and the other went with him to the infirmary. He'll be staying there for observation tonight, Luo Depang explained. I was asking about him. Jiao glared impatiently at Luo Depang. Not you. He then turned to Heiji, whose forehead was bulging with veins, and lightly patted his face. Are you mute? Speak. Heiji snapped Jiao's hand away and glared. Didn't you hear? He's in the infirmary. Luo Depang's heart sank, realizing the situation was dire, and quickly stood to bow and apologized to Jiao. Sorry senior, he just got dumped by his girlfriend and is in a bad mood. I see this black kid has more guts than you. Jiao glanced at Luo Depang with a flattering fool like you. Do you really think you can become a mecha warrior? Luo Depang cursed inwardly, thinking that if he didn't flatter them he would just get beaten up and ruin the mecha. It was as if they were determined not to leave any way out. Just as he thought that, Heiji shouted out his inner thoughts. What do you want? The one who stood up before had his mecha ruined and dangled outside the dormitory, and now you talk about flattery. If you just want to bully people, just say it directly. Going around in circles, what kind of man does that? Heiji's words successfully amused everyone except Luo Depang. I do want to bully you, what can you do about it? Jiao sneered at Heiji, applying a little force, causing the book Fundamentals of Mecha Construction in his hand to crumble. Only a small chip remained, which he discreetly held in his palm. It was said that after a mecha warrior reached the 10th stage they would become a junior mecha warrior, significantly increasing their own strength. At this moment it was no longer mere words. Luo Depang and Heiji looked at how easily Jiao crushed the lightweight metal book, revealing deep apprehension in their eyes. The other displayed fervor, filled with a thirst for power. I'll give you both a chance. If one of you stands up to fight me, the other's mecha will be spared. Jiao stared at Heiji, a playful smile on his face. Clearly his target was this brash young man Heiji. Of course you can also choose not to fight, and I won't destroy your mechas. Jiao chuckled, his gaze landing on Wang Dang's desk where two more books remained. These three books combined were much more expensive than the mass-produced mechas the school distributed, as they used brain machine technology. It was said that the brain machine chip was coated with a thin layer of gold. Gold that is a true treasure, the source of all star energy. The star energy contained in a small piece of gold is immeasurable. Although it was just a thin layer of gold on a small chip, its value far exceeded that of mass-produced mechas. Hearing Zhao's words, Luo Depang let out a long sigh of relief. Wang Dang was clearly not lacking in money, but Heiji was different, for Jiao was clearly targeting him. If Heiji lost his mecha, he would truly be unable to turn things around in the future. He clearly didn't want to lose Heiji as a gaming partner. In the end, he could just help Wang Dang bear half the loss of the library, which wasn't much against Wang Dang. After weighing both sides, Luo Depang steadied his mind. Senior, neither of us can defeat you. But Wang Je's books. Heiji hesitated. In his mind he believed they had the obligation to protect their roommate's possessions when Wang Dang was not present. Let's protect the mechas first. Luo Depang pulled Heiji to his side, fearing he would cause more trouble. Jiao glanced at Luo Depang with disdain, snorting, "Country bumpkin." He then directly grabbed the remaining 2 books on Wang Dang's desk and left with his group. Although Jiao was a local of the imperial capital and came from a relatively well-off family, the allure of gold was still significant to him. He didn't have the guts to rob the school library, but it was different when the books were in personal hands. According to school regulations, once school property left the borrowing area, the school was not responsible. This is also a method to limit the educational resources for students from outside. The school would be glad to see some outside students get eliminated after all their quotas were determined as soon as they entered the school, and the empire would provide resources for their 4 years in college all at once. Once the resources were in hand, there was no need to continue investing educational resources in them, which the school would welcome. This is the reason why the school has been indifferent to the hardships faced by students from outside for so many years. In Zhao's eyes, killing them off in school was actually helping them, otherwise after they graduated they would be assigned to the Beast War field to mine, where they would die faster and in greater pain. After Zhao and the others left, Heiji suddenly slumped into the chair like a deflated balloon. Luo Depang looked at Heiji, who suddenly seemed to lose all his passion, feeling equally distressed, and comforted him. "When Wang Dang returns, I'll tell him. I'll share the loss of the book with Wang Dang, but you are different. If you lose your mecha, you won't learn anything. How can you talk about becoming stronger?" Heiji slammed his fist on the table. "I just feel like a clown. I know I can beat them, but I still can't help myself," Heiji said, covering his face in pain, and also caused Wang Ji to lose his book. Looking at Heiji's guilty face, Luo Depang sighed deeply. "I understand you. In our hometown we are all considered strong and we have never experienced such treatment. But I'm afraid this will become the norm in the future." The next day, when Wang Dang and the monkey returned to their dormitory, they were met with the mournful faces of Luo Diepang and Heiji. After learning the ins and outs of the situation, Wang Dang faced Luo Diepang and expressed his willingness to bear half the loss. Wang Dang pondered for a moment and then refused, saying, "There's no need. You didn't take the book, so you shouldn't have to bear the loss." Wang Dang hesitated briefly, mainly because he was afraid of being poor, which had made him frugal. So when Luo Diepang said he would bear half the loss, his first reaction was to be tempted. Then he realized that Luo Diepang was also a victim, and he wasn't in the habit of letting victims suffer losses. Of course, he couldn't be the one to suffer this loss. Wang Dang would accept anything except for losses. Moreover, he didn't have many years left to live. How could he stomach this silent loss? At this moment, he was already considering how to deal with that person named Zhao. Luo Diepang, faced with Wang Dang's refusal, stared at him with a complicated expression for quite a while. After Zhao left, he felt something was off, so he searched the star net for the approximate price of the brain machine borrowing books. To his shock, he discovered the prices. Years ago, a student from a military academy lost a book from the library and was required to pay 1 million star coins to the library, and that was the price from 10 years ago. 3 books would cost over 3 million star coins. It took him a whole night of convincing himself before he agreed to bear half the loss as promised. However, Wang Dang merely contemplated for a moment and casually declined. This further confirmed Luo Diepang's belief in Wang Dang's financial strength. To just say no to 1.5 million star coins was already enough for him to customize a functional mech. "Brother Wang, how about this?" Luo Diepang, now fully convinced, called Wang Dang brother. He took off the mech necklace from around his neck, saying, "Haven't you found someone to customize a mech yet? As soon as yesterday's incident happened, I called my family and asked them to send more money to expedite it. I should be able to get my new mech in a few days." Luo Diepang said sincerely, "You can take this mech. It's good to have a spare mech for defense until your new one arrives. As a mech warrior, the most important value is the sense of camaraderie." Now that they were in the same dormitory, they were comrades. He and Heiji had failed to protect their comrade's property last night, and he couldn't forgive himself. No need. Wang Dang found it difficult to refuse. He began to wonder if Luo Diepang was the legendary wealth-dispersing child. "You also need a spare mech." Luo Diepang unceremoniously shoved the mech necklace into Wang Dang's hand, saying, "Brother Wang, if you refuse again, it means you're blaming us for not safeguarding your book. Brother Wang, I don't have the money to compensate you right now, but I don't believe I will never have money to pay you back." Heiji looked at Wang Dang with determination. "Wait for me, I'll work hard to become stronger and I'll compensate your loss then." Wang Dang was a bit shaken by the seriousness of the two of them, and he began to doubt whether books were ridiculously expensive in this world. "All right. I'll hold on to it for now," Wang Dang said as he took Luo Diepang's mech necklace, thinking that once he got the loss back from Jiao, he would return the mech necklace to Luo Diepang. "Very well, Jiao, make sure you don't go solo. Otherwise you'll have to experience the power of the glass cannon possessing you." But before that, he needed to find Mai Xiaomai to get the money and upgrade his mech. Before going to find Mai Xiaomai, Wang Dang, still with suspicion, made a trip to the library and found the librarian at the front desk. "Excuse me, teacher, I would like to ask, if a student loses a book, how much star coins would they have to pay?" The librarian was a refined old man with graying hair. He looked seriously at Wang Dang, a glint of amusement flickering in his murky eyes. "The price of a book ranges from 1 million star coins to 3 million star coins. It depends on what book is lost." "What?" Wang Dang felt as if struck by lightning. At that moment, he immediately wanted to go back and solemnly promise Luo Diepang to bear half the loss. What if a student from another region loses a book and has no money to pay? Wang Dang raised his concern. This Imperial Military Academy does not charge tuition or accommodation fees, yet the library's books are so expensive. Why would they allow these students to borrow them? Then they would be sent to the interstellar battlefield as laborers. They can return once they pay off their debts. The librarian shrugged his hands, looking somewhat helpless. The school is not a charity institution, it's only right to repay debts. That's reasonable, that's reasonable. Wang Dang repeated reasonable twice, appearing somewhat dazed. Is there an anti-fraud app available here? He suspected he was being scammed by the Imperial Military Academy's library, but he had no evidence. What's wrong, classmate? Did you lose a book? The librarian smiled kindly at Wang Dang. Would you like me to help you register and check the price? No need. Wang Dang waved his hands hurriedly. How could I be so careless as to lose a book? That's good. The library books can be borrowed for a maximum of 1 month. If they're not returned after the rental period, the instructors from the practical training course will come to urge you. The librarian smiled and said, at that time the situation might be a bit awkward, but don't worry, the instructors usually act quickly, so it won't be too painful. Wang Dang swallowed hard, repeatedly saying yes 3 times before leaving the library in a dejected manner. From what Luo Diepang and He Ji described, that Jiao was at least a junior mech warrior, truly a warrior. Whereas he was merely a 5th-tier mech rookie, facing Jiao at this stage would be significantly challenging unless he used unconventional methods. Wang Dang felt a bit speechless as he was up against a protagonist with a golden finger who had scripts for marrying the rich and beautiful and becoming a CEO. How could he be someone so disgraceful? After great effort to get into the Imperial Military Academy, he found himself in debt by 3 million as soon as he enrolled, and that was the best-case scenario. Thinking of his own golden finger, Wang Dang felt angry, summoning the system in his mind. System, do you have any other uses besides draining my lifespan? Host, you can say that. We are in a fair trade. If you want to become strong, you must first make sacrifices. Wang Dang helplessly rubbed his forehead. Then let me become strong first. Just give me some kind of upgrade card. Host, there are no shortcuts on the path to becoming strong. This system can only assist the host. The journey still relies on the host's own efforts. The system's voice became somewhat serious, sounding almost like a wise elder giving advice. I see now, you are skilled in nothing, yet you excel in lecturing like a father. Wang Dang cursed in his mind while keeping his hands busy, opening his light brain to send a message to Mai Shumai, arranging to meet her to exchange the spatial ring. No matter what, he needed to get the money first and try to modify the mech himself. Wang Dang understood in his heart that the only way to break the current deadlock was to rapidly increase his strength. Following Mai Shumai's instructions, he traversed the school garden and arrived at the Mecha Engineers' dormitory area. In the entire Imperial Military Academy, only the students of the Mecha Warrior Department were divided into local and non-local students. Both Mecha Engineers and Star Energy Masters were treasures of the Empire, regardless of wealth or poverty. Even though Wang Dang was mentally prepared, his expression still turned stiff upon seeing the luxurious apartment building where the Mecha Engineers lived. Compared to the exquisite apartment building in front of him, their dormitory building was simply old and shabby, not much different from the conditions of the university dorms he had during his college days. Mai Xiaomai came running out of the apartment building, and from a distance she spotted Wang Dang waving cheerfully at him. Junior, over here. Wang Dang quickly walked up to Mai Xiaomai, took out a small rabbit ring from his pocket and handed it to her. Try it on and see if there's anything you're not satisfied with. As soon as Mai Xiaomai saw her rabbit ring, her eyes lit up instantly. She joyfully accepted the ring and put it on her ring finger. She didn't check the internal space first, but carefully examined the ring's appearance repeatedly for any damages. It was evident that she cherished this little rabbit ring very much. No problem, Junior, you are truly amazing. After confirming that her precious ring was exactly the same as before, Mai Xiaomai beamed with joy. Send me your star card number and I'll transfer the money to you right away. Wang Dang opened his light brain and sent his star card number to Mai Xiaomai. By the way, senior, can I ask about someone? What's wrong? Is someone bullying you? Mai Xiaomai looked up and stared seriously into Wang Dang's eyes. If someone is bullying you, you must tell me. I'll help you deal with him. Even if I can't win, there's still Sister Mo Li. She's a junior level 3 warrior and is about to become a mid-level warrior. You saved both me and Sister Mo Li. If you're in trouble, we won't just stand by and do nothing. Mai Xiaomai said earnestly to Wang Dang, her big eyes filled with sincerity. I will definitely tell you if I have difficulties. I'm not the type to put on a brave front, Wang Dang said with a smile. I just want to inquire about something. He wasn't foolish, the life-saving grace could not be relied upon for trivial matters. It had to be used for situations he truly couldn't handle. Just a senior mecha warrior, someone they would see around school, could be assassinated at any time. A month was sufficient? Wang Dang was also moved by Mai Xiaomai's sincerity, but he was not accustomed to relying on others to achieve his goals. Although this world was bizarre, its essence was exactly the same as his original world. That is, external reliance is always unstable if only one's own strength is truly reliable. For the life-saving grace, Wang Dang preferred to repay it with money. After roughly describing the appearance and characteristics of Jiao Zhuo to Mai Xiaomai, he left. He didn't head directly back to the dormitory, but instead found a secluded corner, pressed the button on his mecha necklace and summoned his mecha. Looking at the massive machine before him, Wang Dang didn't rush to enter the mecha. Instead, he walked around it, obsessively observing every part of its structure. From the mecha cover, mecha cabin, star energy pool cabin to the joint connections, he carefully examined every part, reviewing the fundamental knowledge he had learned from books. After thoroughly admiring this pure black mecha from head to toe, he opened the mecha cabin and entered. Once inside the mecha cabin, Wang Dang picked up the helmet on the control panel and put it on his head. Instantly he felt a mysterious connection forming between himself and the mecha. Wang Dang checked the 3 values of this mecha. Defense 20, immobility 20, firepower 20. It was a standard lower tier B-class mecha. In this world, mechas are also ranked. Any 3 values below 50 are classified as B-class mechas, while those above 50 and below 100 are A-class mechas. Values above 100 and below 200 are classified as class mechas. If such a mech were to appear, it could effortlessly destroy a small planet. This information was gleaned by Wang Dang from the book Basic Mech Theory. Last night in the medical bay while bored, Wang Dang attempted to construct a design for a grade mech in his mind. He had barely sketched out its general outline when he began to feel tightness in his chest and shortness of breath, even experiencing a nosebleed. It was clear that his mental strength was not yet sufficient to construct a grade mech. Yet he did not give up. After downing a military-grade nutrient fluid, he started over from the beginning, stopping only when he felt he had reached his limit. After a night of relentless effort, he could now construct 20 of a design blueprint in his mind. Thus Wang Dang was filled with confidence about crafting a grade mech with his own hands. Once he advanced to become a junior mech warrior, he would be able to use the grade mech he had built himself. When that time came, all 3 of its performance parameters would need to be maxed out. With this thought, Wang Dang began to pilot the mech with unwavering confidence, practicing a basic boxing routine he had learned at Nancheng High School. At first, Wang Dang was somewhat clumsy, but thanks to his familiarity with every part of the mech, he quickly adapted to it. The pure black recruit mech, which had initially thrown clumsy punches, began to move with agility and power. If anyone had witnessed this, they would have marveled at Wang Dang's mastery over the mech. It was well known that among the newly enrolled students, the worst could barely take a few steps in a mech before collapsing, and the best could only manage a few attack stances. Not a single one could pilot a mech to execute a complete combination boxing routine with such vigor and finesse as Wang Dang. This was thanks to his awakened mental talent, which greatly enhanced his ability to control the mech. Coupled with his thorough knowledge of every component of the mech, he felt divinely inspired, bypassing the usual adjustment period and establishing a direct mental link with the machine. Wang Dang was so immersed in the world of mech piloting that he only paused to drink a military-grade nutrient fluid when the system prompted him to replenish his energy. By the time the sky had darkened outside, the recruit mech remained hidden in the night, tirelessly practicing its boxing forms. Wang Dang had lost count of how many nutrient fluids he had consumed at the system's prompting. Had he known the exact number, he would have broken out in a cold sweat and prayed fervently that his body would not burst from the strain. At 11:30 in the evening, Wang Dang returned to the dormitory under the cover of night, and as soon as he stepped through the door, he was met with the respectful gazes of the other 3 roommates. After he left, Luo Depang told Heiji and Monkey the price of the book. Heiji and Monkey were both stunned. 30,000 star coins for the latest model of the light brain was already an astronomical sum for them. However, Wang Dang showed no reaction to the minimum compensation of 3 million star coins. Truly, comparing people can be infuriating. Luo Depang even began to speculate if Wang Dang was from some hidden family on Blue Star. After greeting them, Wang Dang swiftly headed to the bathroom for a shower. Burdened with immense debt, he had no time to dwell on other matters. Even while showering, he was mentally drafting designs for mechas. Blood mixed with water flowed onto the bathroom floor and quickly vanished. After his shower, Wang Dang lay on his small bed in the dormitory, checking the messages sent by Mai Xiaomai. The person with the yellow hair who came to their dorm yesterday was named Zhao Zhou, a second-year student at the Imperial Military Academy, a first-level junior soldier possessing a B-class mecha with above-average stats, nearly reaching A-class specifications. Wang Dang's light brain was still not set to privacy mode, allowing the other 3 roommates in the dorm to clearly see the contents displayed, and they exchanged glances. They even began to communicate with their eyes. Luo Depang, he must be from a hidden noble family. Monkey, this is too impressive. He's going to stir up trouble for the senior. Heiji, brother Wang, you are my idol. At this moment, Wang Dang was unaware of his roommate's thoughts. After shutting off his light brain, he began to meditate. Today he felt that his physical limits had been reached, yet he still managed to draft designs for a while before drifting into a deep sleep. With only 2 days until the official start of school, he needed to make the most of this time to familiarize himself with everything in the imperial capital. Ideally, he would find a quick way to earn money. He was now considered a novice mecha engineer and naturally knew how expensive good mecha materials could be. To modify a mecha, the few star coins he had on hand were clearly insufficient. The next day, Wang Dang woke up full of energy and headed straight to the medical office to find Dr. Shu. Getting straight to the point, he asked, "Do you know where I can find a black market? Last night I saw on the Star Network that only officially certified mecha engineers can buy tools and materials for making mechas." As a rogue mecha engineer, he could only seek out alternative routes to purchase tools and materials. But no matter how hard Wang Dang racked his brain searching the Star Network, he couldn't find any purchasing channels other than the official one, so he had no choice but to seek Dr. Shu. "Why should I help you?" Dr. Shu, sitting at his desk with a medical record book in hand, raised an eyebrow slightly at Wang Dang. Wang Dang grinned. "Because you invested in me. Until you receive a satisfactory return, you won't withdraw your investment. No one understands investment better than this gambler. Although I lost everything in the stock market last life, at least I learned my lesson." Dr. Shu chuckled at his words. "You're right, it'll help you, but I currently need a small return." He then pulled out a syringe from his desk drawer, looking at Wang Dang with a mischievous glint. Wang Dang felt a chill run down his spine from Dr. Zuskes. What are you doing? Is this a doctor-patient play? He carefully took a step back, distancing himself from Dr. Shu, and said defiantly, "I'm a real man. Don't misunderstand, I just need a vial of blood." Dr. Shu ignored Wang Dang's protest, stood up and gestured for him to sit down. After hearing his request, Wang Dang's alarm bells went off and his gaze towards Dr. Shu grew wary. The request for blood drew memories of a classmate from middle school who disappeared after donating a vial of blood, turning into a lab rat. "Don't worry, this is just for my personal research and won't be reported. I guarantee it on my honor as a soldier." Dr. Shu slightly curled his lips. "What you are worried about will not happen." Wang Dang let out a long breath. He understood that his only choice was to trust him. So he sat down as Dr. Shu requested, his mouth not ceasing. "Be gentle, I'm afraid of pain and might have an adverse reaction." Hey, don't take too much mnemonic. Is this whole vial for blood donation?" Dr. Shu directly ignored Wang Dang's chatter, expressionless as he injected the blood from the syringe into a test tube. He then carefully placed the test tube into the side pocket of his white coat and finally extended his hand towards Wang Dang. "Give me your light brain." Wang Dang removed the light brain from his wrist, puzzled, and handed it to Dr. Shu. "You're not planning to implant some virus in my light brain and monitor my movements 247, are you?" Dr. Shu rolled his eyes at Wang Dang. "You're thinking too much, you're not worth it yet." He deftly pried open Wang Dang's light brain and implanted a chip the size of a grain of rice into its motherboard. The star network is just the surface. Most people don't know that beneath it lies a dark web. Dr. Shu explained as he worked. "After installing this chip, your light brain will gain access to the dark web, allowing you to see things beyond the star network. You might even see some things that they don't want you to see. Some are real and some are lies. It's up to you to discern. However, one thing to note is that it is illegal for Imperial citizens to access places beyond the star network. If caught, you'll be on your own." Wang Dang's expression showed understanding. "So the dark web is just full of outlaws?" Dr. Shu looked at him with a somewhat profound expression. "You could say that." As he spoke, Dr. Shu rebooted the light brain, and after checking it, his brows furrowed tightly. "Why is your light brain not in privacy mode?" Wang Dang was taken aback. "What is privacy mode?" Dr. Shu was amused by his question, realizing that if he hadn't been cautious, this person would have been openly browsing the dark web on the street soon. After Dr. Zu's explanation, Wang Dang roughly understood that the difference between the star network and the dark web was akin to the intranet and the internet of his past life. The chip Dr. Shu implanted in his light brain was essentially like a ladder from his past life, linking the two networks. Remember, one must have their own judgment ability. If you lose your ability to judge, you are no different from a robot. Dr. Shu said solemnly as he returned the light brain to Wang Dang. Wang Dang returned to the dormitory, successfully connected to the dark web following Dr. Zu's instructions, and sat at his desk earnestly beginning to explore the hidden facets of this world. "Hey brother, Wang's finally switching it up, using incognito mode now." Monkey whispered to Fatty Luo. "Hey, we can fathom the thoughts of a reclusive master." Fatty Luo murmured in reply. "Brother Wang has his reasons for everything he does." Black G chimed into the discussion as well. Wang Dang was now fully immersed in the dark web, where he discovered two black markets within the Blue Star Empire, one of which was not far from the military academy. It housed a vast number of mechas discarded by academy students, and the quantity of mass-produced rookie mechas was immense. In essence, this black market catered to the academy's surroundings. Additionally, Wang Dang found an unofficial mecha engineer forum on the dark web. Of course, unofficial was a euphemism. It was actually a gathering of rogue mecha engineers, those expelled from official circles for crimes and even some wanted fugitives. The forum was called Have You Hunted Today? They referred to the black markets on various planets as field supply points, and the mecha engineers on the forum frequented these markets to acquire necessary materials. This forum hosted not only black market mecha engineers but also clients. These clients, for unknown reasons, couldn't order mechas officially and thus had to seek help from these rogue engineers. They would typically post their requirements on the forum along with a deposit, waiting for a black market engineer to take the job. Once a black market engineer accepted a job, they would head to the field supply points to hunt for materials, then craft the mecha upon gathering everything. Afterward, the forum would arrange for the goods to be delivered to a designated location. Apart from various transaction posts and boasts about hunting halls, the forum also featured many black market engineers generously sharing their expertise, making Wang Dang feel as though he could never leave once he entered. The mecha engineers on the hunting forum were far more generous than those on the Star Net, freely posting precious design blueprints as if they were common cabbages, inviting fellow engineers to discuss them. This was absolutely unheard of on the official mecha engineer forums, where design blueprints were top secret unless you paid to purchase them. Even clients who customized mechas were not entitled to view the design blueprints. Of course, this was also tied to the differing rules of the two realms. The Star Net was akin to the real world, where mecha engineers were naturally idolized by mecha pilots, allowing them to be pretentious and aloof. On the dark web, however, it was a gathering of outlaws. Money was god and class distinctions were far less pronounced. Wang Dang remained immersed in the dark web until evening, when he finally put away his optical computer and left the dormitory. From the dark web he learned that the black market near the Imperial Military Academy opened at 8 in the evening and closed at 3 in the morning. So he planned to go out tonight and try his luck at hunting. Wang Dang appeared to wander aimlessly around the school, but he was actually observing every corner, calculating the safest spot to climb over the wall. Students at the Imperial Military Academy were only allowed to leave campus on the 15th of each month. All other times they were prohibited from going out. With more than 10 days until the 15th, Wang Dang couldn't wait that long, so he had already begun plotting to scale the wall. After wandering for an hour, Wang Dang finally found a secluded blind spot without surveillance. With a flicker of movement, Wang Dang arrived at this blind spot, pressed his hands against the wall at the corner, kicked off, and began climbing like a spider. Once atop the high wall, he made a light leap and successfully escaped the Academy's restricted zone. Wang Dang looked back at the wall he had just scaled, dusted off his hands, and mused, the gate restrictions are so strict, but climbing the wall turned out to be quite simple. Due to the ease of his escape, he even began to wonder if many Imperial Military Academy students did the same. He was unaware that the Academy's regulations explicitly prohibited unauthorized outings, with violators facing immediate expulsion from military status. But even if he knew, Wang Dang wouldn't hesitate. Being a short-lived man, what kind fool would he be to remain a law-abiding one? After leaving the Imperial Military Academy, Wang Dang hummed a tune as he walked through the neon-lit nightscape of the capital. Indeed, the capital's night scenery fulfilled all his previous fantasies of cyberpunk. It was just a pity that this colorful, bustling world had nothing to do with him for now. Give me an entry pass. Wang Dang placed 1000 star coins on the counter. And a mask too. The entry fee for the Lanyan black market was 800 star coins, and the plain mask sold at the front desk cost 200 star coins each. This was information Wang Dang had gleaned from a post shared by a fellow hunter on the hunting forum. The muscular man at the front desk tossed a circular entry pass without looking up, then pulled a white mask from under the counter and slapped it on the counter. Despite the burly man's rude attitude, Wang Dang said nothing, silently put on the mask and left. He dared not speak, having heard from fellow hunters that the doorman at the black market was at least an intermediate mecha warrior. An intermediate mecha warrior, a man capable of piloting a class mecha. The Lanyan black market was located beneath the Lanyan bar. Wang Dang navigated through the noisy bar and descended a hidden staircase into an underground passage. Entry pass. The burly guard at the passage, seeing the mask on Wang Dang's face, knew he was a black market customer. After Wang Dang presented his entry pass, one of the burly guards stepped forward to scan his iris, and the iron door at the end of the underground passage swung open with a clang. Esteemed mecha engineers, our shop has just received a class beast blood, the best choice for mecha paint. B-class silver scale serpent skin at a great price, limited stock. Within a vast underground market, a myriad of vendors hawked their wares. Every passing customer without exception wore a mask of various designs just like Wang Dang. Whether it was his imagination or not, the vendors seemed especially excited to see him, repeatedly asking what he needed and inviting him to check out their stalls. After turning down the fifth person who approached him, Wang Dang belatedly realized that among the crowd he was the only one wearing a simple white mask. It seemed his novice status had been exposed, marking him as a naive lamb ripe for the shearing. Regular patrons of the Lanyan black market had long abandoned the mask sold at the front counter, opting instead for custom-made ones to easily distinguish themselves. At the deepest part of the black market lay a shop specializing in custom masks, where most people had theirs made, not only ensuring uniqueness but also offering great comfort and aesthetic appeal. Wang Dang, wearing a standard counter mask, was clearly a first-time visitor. A novice unfamiliar with the market's ways was naturally seen as easy prey, with everyone eager to claim a share. From the hunting forum, Wang Dang learned that the Lanyan black market was roughly divided into two zones. The front zone was the stall area, where mostly independent vendors set up shop, offering a dazzling array of goods. However, it was also rife with counterfeit items and deceit. An inexperienced shopper here was nothing but a spendthrift scattering wealth. The rear zone of the black market was the store district, similar in size to the stall area, but here stood individual shops. These establishments were run by permanent merchants of the Lanyan black market who had to pay a substantial integrity deposit to the market administration to operate in this district. Consequently, goods in the store district cost significantly more than those in the stall area. The advantage, however, was the peace of mind that one wouldn't be cheated. As a first-time trader at the black market and a novice in mecha engineering with only theoretical knowledge and no practical experience, Wang Dang had no choice but to head to the store district. So he went straight to the store district, picked a tool shop that caught his eye, and entered. The shop was filled with various tools needed for mecha construction, some powered by energy and others manual. All items were clearly priced, but the tag showed costs half again as high as those on the star web, with some even doubling or exceeding that. The shopkeepers in the store district were far less enthusiastic than the stall vendors. Wang Dang had been browsing for quite a while, yet the owner acted as if he didn't see him fiddling with a mecha model on the counter. "Boss, if I buy more, could I get a discount?" Wang Dang approached hesitantly, speaking in a conciliatory tone. The tool shop owner, a short middle-aged man, set down the mecha model at Wang Dang's words, his expression turning cold as he stared at him. Was haggling not a tradition here? Wang Dang felt puzzled. Suddenly his gaze fell on the mecha model the owner had placed on the table. One of its jet wings was broken. On the table lay some repair tools, clearly indicating the owner had been trying to fix the model. "That's not how you repair it," Wang Dang said. He spotted the issue at once. Picking up the damaged model, he used a screwdriver from the table to completely open its back compartment. These jet wings are part of the Mecha's kinetic system, often connected to the back star energy pool. You need to disassemble them together to fix them properly. As he explained the principle to the owner, Wang Dang skillfully repaired the damaged parts inside the back compartment. Watching Wang Dang's deft movements, the owner's expression softened slightly. Young man, even if you're a mecha engineer, it's not right to mess with people, is it? Wang Dang's hands worked swiftly. What messing around? A mecha engineer like you, how could you be short on money? The owner's voice rose. The owner wasn't wrong. Even if a Star Energy Master lacked funds, a mecha engineer never would. After all, both Mecha Warriors and Star Energy Masters had to commission mecha engineers to build their suits. Mecha engineering was undoubtedly one of the most lucrative professions in the entire universe. Wang Dang placed the repaired mecha model on the table and pressed the start button. The model immediately propelled forward, flying a short distance before landing steadily on the table. I'm not really a mecha engineer yet, Wang Dang said with a wry smile. I haven't even started. The owner looked at the intact model with a skeptical expression. Even a half-baked mecha engineer can earn a hefty sum repairing mechas for others. Boss, I've just started out and I really haven't found a way to make money. Wang Dang spread his hands, his tone utterly helpless. Seeing that Wang Dang didn't seem to be lying and likely wasn't there to cause trouble, the owner's tone softened a bit. There's an arena on the 3rd underground level. They're in need of mecha engineers. Wang Dang's eyes lit up at the owner's words. Though he couldn't construct mechas yet, his experience as a mechanic combined with years of repairing household appliances and optical computers meant he was confident he could handle mecha repairs. Do they have any requirements for mecha engineers down there? Just need to know how to fix mechas, the owner replied, watching Wang Dang's excitement and becoming more convinced that this was indeed a broke mecha engineer. It seemed he could try his luck at the arena today. A 1 in 1,000 opportunity had come his way. I still need tools. If I buy a full set from you, could I get a discount? Wang Dang hadn't forgotten his original goal. You? The owner hesitated, then sighed. Fine, if you're really broke, take a set of tools first. After you make some money downstairs, come back and settle the bill. Offering a discount to a mecha engineer, if other merchants found out, they'd laugh their heads off. Seeing the owner's firm stance, Wang Dang realized there was no room for bargaining and had to go pick out the tools he needed. In the end, he paid the full price of 128000 for a set of repair tools. Initially, Wang Dang had thought the prices at the black market would be higher than on the star web, but not by much. To his surprise, they were double. Truly a black market living up to its name. Carrying his newly acquired toolset, Wang Dang followed the owner's directions to the 3rd underground level's arena. Plans changed quickly. He could only hope to earn enough tonight to complete his mecha building tools and upgrade his own mecha soon. It seemed being a mecha engineer was tough. Being a self-taught mecha engineer was even tougher. Wang Dang sighed, picked up his toolbox and entered the 3rd underground level. As soon as he stepped in, he heard a cacophony of cheers mixed with boos. A match had just ended, some rejoiced, others lamented. In the past, Wang Dang would have tried his luck with a bet. But now, burdened with heavy debt and uncertain of the costs ahead, he could only listen to the gamblers' voices and satisfy his craving from afar. This match's winner, Crimson Moon, a soft, alluring female voice announced over the arena speakers, declaring the result. Crimson Moon. Wang Dang mused. Someday I'll give my mecha a name just as cool. Following the arena's directions, Wang Dang arrived at the mecha maintenance zone. An ordinary mecha pilot earns 150000 star coins a month, the receptionist said with a smile. That's fine. Wang Dang felt a surge of joy. But in the next second, the receptionist's words plunged his spirits into an abyss. Go over there to pay the fee. The receptionist smiled and pointed to the right. Who? Wang Dang was taken aback. So it meant he had to pay 150000 a month. Pay to work. The 150000 star coins is an administration fee to be paid over there, the receptionist said, maintaining her smile. Can I pay by the day? Wang Dang tried to negotiate. He had just bought maintenance tools and truly couldn't scrape together the 150000 payment. The receptionist's smile stiffened slightly. I'm sorry, mecha pilot sir, we don't have such a precedent. A person wearing a golden stag mask couldn't help but snicker. Can't even afford the admin fee, yet you dare call yourself a mecha pilot. Hello, mister? Stag, the receptionist greeted with a bow. What's the matter, never seen a broke mecha pilot before? Wang Dang retorted, his tone dripping with the same disdain as the golden stag's. Making a fuss over nothing. Such big words. The golden stag was clearly displeased with Wang Dang's attitude. Do you know the price of fraud here? Mister? Stag, I apologize for the disturbance. I'll have someone handle this immediately, the receptionist said, bowing again apologetically. She picked up her light brain to summon the enforcers. Clearly she too didn't believe that the young man in the plain white mask could be a mecha pilot. You're about to be in serious trouble, kid. The golden stag stood by with Schadenfreude ready to watch Wang Dang's downfall. If someone like you can be a mecha pilot, why can't I? Wang Dang's face darkened completely. Damn it, what law said a mecha pilot couldn't be broke? TSK, looks like the only tough thing about you is your mouth. The golden stag sneered. He pointed at a burly man in the corner who was grieving over a pile of white metal scrap. If you can fix that mecha, I'll pay the 150000 admin fee for you. Wang Dang followed his gesture and froze. Forgive his poor eyesight, but he really couldn't tell that Heap was a mecha. What kind of battle had reduced it to such a state? The Golden Stag's offer tempted Wang Dang, but he didn't agree immediately. After all, that pile of junk looked far too tragic. Wang Dang picked up his toolkit and walked behind the burly man, beginning to scrutinize the mecha wreckage. Just from the mecha's appearance, it was clear a brutal fight had occurred. Both legs had been completely severed from the body. The left arm was deeply embedded into the mecha's torso and most of its head was detached from the main body. The only intact part was probably the cockpit. Although the burly man was covered in wounds, at least he hadn't lost any limbs. Seeing the indicator lights on the mecha's back flashing red, Wang Dang deduced that the star energy pool which powered the mecha was also intact. As long as the cockpit and the star energy pool were functional, it could be repaired. This is so simple, you're practically giving me money. Wang Dang taunted the Golden Stag. I'd be too embarrassed to accept. Huh? If you can fix it, I'll kneel down and call you Dad. The Golden Stag laughed in anger. The mecha named Big White had just been defeated by Crimson Moon. Everyone in the arena knew that Crimson Moon's greatest pleasure was destroying opponents' mechas. After a match with him, no mecha was ever in decent shape. All the arena's mecha pilots refused to repair mechas that had faced Crimson Moon. The burly man, knowing no pilot would take his job, had been nursing his mecha in solitude since leaving the arena. All right, but you'll have to cover the cost of repair materials, Wang Dang said, spreading his hands. After all, I'm a broke mecha pilot? The Golden Stag shrugged. No problem. But if you fail according to blue, silver, black market rules, you'll have to sever your own hands and kowtow 3 times to me. The enforcers the receptionist had called had arrived, but they hesitated due to the bet. Find a guarantor. I'm afraid you'll renege, Wang Dang said, sizing up the Golden Stag. Call Sister Me, or the Golden Stag ordered the enforcers. Clearly he held high prestige in the arena as the enforcers went to fetch her without hesitation. Soon a seductive woman in a sparkling silver slip dress swaying her hips arrived. This is a rare sight, 2 mecha pilots making a bet. Wang Dang recognized her voice from the earlier broadcast. This brat is too arrogant. He needs a lesson, the Golden Stag said, turning his head away disdainfully. Me die with her enchanting peach blossom. I studied Wang Dang for a moment and smiled. So I am the supervisor of the arena's maintenance zone. May I serve as your guarantor? Wang Dang nodded. Should we put it in writing? Huh? The Golden Stag laughed in fury. Do you think I Welsh? No need for a written contract. Just follow the terms you agreed upon, Me Die said, covering her mouth with a chuckle. Hey you lot. The burly man, who had been kneeling in grief, stood up and glared at everyone. Did anyone ask for my consent? Tears began streaming from his eyes, squeezed into slits by his fleshy face. Big White. Big White has been with me since I first came to the black market. To me, he's like family. The burly man sobbed uncontrollably. The onlookers jeered at the sight of the nearly 200-pound man crying like a child. A mecha warrior crying like a sissy, what a disgrace. You're bringing shame to all mecha warriors. Damn it, cry again and I'll knock you out. Even the Golden Stag had had enough. Your Big White is already scrap. Might as well take a gamble. No. I won't let you desecrate Big White's remains, the burly man bellowed with his eyes closed, blowing a snot bubble. The Golden Stag shielded his mask with his hand. Tell you what, next time you commission a mecha from me, I'll give you a 10 discount. Sure thing, mecha pilot, sir. Big White is yours to handle. The burly man, who had been crying moments ago, suddenly beamed with joy, practically clapping his hands. Everyone was dumbfounded by the stark contrast in his behavior. Wang Dang cast an appreciative glance at the burly man before him. A man who could bend and stretch was truly admirable. Soon the arena staff carried the shattered Big White to the Golden Stag's repair bay. Admittedly, though the Golden Stag's words were harsh, his repair bay was stocked with a comprehensive array of materials. Before long, Wang Dang found all the supplies he needed and laid them out on the workbench. Fix it right here. I'll watch you, the Golden Stag said, casually pulling up a chair and sitting down. Wang Dang said nothing in response, merely immersing himself in organizing the tools on the bench. Typically, mech technicians did not allow outsiders to observe when repairing or constructing a mech, for each technician's methods, thoughts and steps were unique and they feared their essence being stolen. But at this moment he was on another's turf, using their resources. Moreover, Wang Dang harbored no peculiar aversion to being watched. He believed that good techniques ought to be shared. If only the mech technicians on the Star Network were more generous, how wonderful that would be. As these thoughts drifted through his mind, Wang Dang picked up Big White's left leg, using a specialized tool to pry open the already battered outer casing, and began repairing the internal components. Following years of habit, he would fix anything that could be salvaged rather than replace it. Only when something was truly beyond repair would he opt for a new part. This approach maximized cost efficiency. But the Golden Stag, observing this, was deeply puzzled. The man in the white mask performed repairs with remarkable skill and professionalism, undeniably a mech technician. Yet his methods starkly contrasted with those of professional mech technicians, resembling instead a roadside repairman fixing optical computers and home appliances. After all, no mech technician would waste precious time mending cheap minor parts. Most would simply swap in new components. But Wang Dang refused to replace even a tiny connecting plate. He took it out, flattened it, and re-welded it back on. This was an eye-opener. Recalling what he had said earlier, the Golden Stag looked at Wang Dang with fresh scrutiny. Could there really be a mech technician with no money? That didn't add up either. How could he be a mech technician without funds? The Golden Stag found himself trapped in a paradox while Wang Dang grew increasingly adept. Since this was his first time repairing a mech, he had been extremely cautious at the start. But the more he worked, the more he felt it was no different from fixing optical computers or home appliances. Once familiar with the structure and components, the techniques and approaches were identical. So he simply sped up, treating the mech repair like his usual livelihood work. The Golden Stag watched Wang Dang's repair speed increase, yet he showed no sign of anxiety. Based on his experience with such severe damage, the mech's stellar energy pool chamber must have been partially affected. Aside from the cockpit, the stellar energy pool chamber was the most complex and intricate part of a mech. Even senior mech technicians had faltered when repairing stellar energy pool chambers. Moreover, the man in the white mask seemed young, and even if he had experience repairing mechs, it was likely limited to external repairs. As for the inner cockpit and stellar energy pool, even the Golden Stag himself had repaired them only a handful of times. Time ticked away relentlessly. But Wang Dang, in a state of intense concentration, was oblivious to the passage of time. Repairing a mech was like fixing ordinary appliances. Once familiar with the internal structure, locate the problem and troubleshoot one by one. An experienced master could spot the issue at a glance. However, Wang Dang was not yet that knowledgeable about mech, so he had to resort to the most painstaking method, combining his understanding of the mech's structure to inspect each area for faults. By the time he finished repairing all 4 limbs of the mech, nearly 4 hours had passed. Throughout this time, the Golden Stag sat silently watching Wang Dang work without uttering a word. Soon Wang Dang completed the repair of the mech's outer hull, and as the Golden Stag wished, bypassed the intact cockpit to reach the stellar energy pool chamber. Wang Dang had already systematically studied the structure and repair methods of the stellar energy pool chamber in basic mech theory. Thus he quickly determined that the reactor connecting the chamber to the mech's right side was abnormal. Anything involving stellar energy fell into Wang Dang's blind spot. So he could only follow the textbook step by step, meticulously repairing without daring a single mistake. As the Golden Stag watched Wang Dang begin repairing the stellar energy pool chamber, his eyes narrowed further, confirming his inner conviction. This kid was definitely from the military, or had been. Their kind of rogue mech technicians had far less experience with internal mech repairs than official military technicians. The official ones had accumulated their expertise through brutal warfare. Such experience was never publicly disclosed, leaving rogue technicians like him with no access to it. Before entering the blue-silver black market, he had encountered a few orthodox mech technicians. This white-masked man's internal repair techniques were exactly the same as theirs. The Golden Stag looked at Wang Dang with probing eyes. Anyone appearing in the black market must have formerly been military. Otherwise, being discovered by the military would mean certain death. While the Golden Stag was speculating, Wang Dang completed the final repair and snapped the mech's back panel into place. Simultaneously, he heard a distinct notification sound in his ear. The multiplier card is taking effect, extracting values. Wang Dang was startled. He hadn't built a mech, so why was the multiplier card activating? Regrettably, no numerical multiplier reward was drawn this time. The probability will accumulate to the next attempt. Currently, the host has a 40 chance of doubling one of the mech's performance values, a 10 chance of doubling 2 values, and a 2 chance of tripling all 3 values. Wang Dang was taken aback. So the multiplier card's probability could accumulate. He increasingly suspected that his system was created by some major game company from his past life. Wasn't this essentially a guaranteed pity system? And why had the multiplier card activated when he merely repaired a mech? Could it be because the mech was so severely damaged and he had reassembled its limbs, thus counting as completing a mech? He would have to find an opportunity to test this later. For now, there were more pressing matters. With that thought, Wang Dang cast a mischievous glance at the Golden Stag. Be a good son, your daddy's here. The Golden Stag listened to Wang Dang's words, his face darkening beneath the mask. He silently stepped forward to inspect Big White's readings and status, finding nothing different from before the match. He then opened the door to let Rosemary and Big White's owner inside. Rosemary and the burly man froze at the entrance after entering the repair bay. Big White. The man let out a heart-wrenching scream. What have you done to my Big White? Wang Dang, seeing the burly man's startled gesture with a raised pinky, felt somewhat embarrassed. Well, there were no panels of the same color, so I just mixed and matched. You call this mixing and matching? The man, now with his pinky still raised, bristled with fury, looking as if he might faint at any moment. No wonder, the mech before them bore no resemblance to the name Big White. Its head was green, the left arm a patchwork of black and red, and the right arm purple. The left leg was a weave of green and yellow plates, while the right leg was even more extreme, displaying every color of the rainbow. Wang Dang had also replaced the backplate with a camouflage pattern. Now Big White was a chaotic blend of colors, exuding a bizarre mad vibe. Just as the man was rolling his eyes and about to faint, the Golden Stag said coolly, "Pay the repair fee before you pass out." No, the man recoiled in terror, taking 2 steps back. That's not my Big White. The golden stag turned to glance at the monster and cleared his throat. It may not look great, but its functions are identical to your old big white. The repair fee is 990000. Cash or card? Now it was Wang Dang's turn to look at the golden stag in shock. He had repaired this mech himself. He knew the material costs inside and out. Even at black market prices it wouldn't exceed 400000. This golden stag was asking for 990000 outright, truly a man of the underworld. Seeing the man still wailing with his face in his hands, Rosemary stepped forward and delivered a clean punch to his chin. Stop your blubbering and settle the bill. Can you just repaint the colors later by buying some paint from a supplier? The man reluctantly pulled a card from his pocket, looking at Wang Dang and the golden stag, hesitating over whom to hand it to. Wang Dang snatched the card, swiftly swiped it against his own device and deftly transferred 990000 star coins. He then said to the golden stag with feigned seriousness, "I'll list the material costs later and transfer the amount to you." With the repair fee credited, Wang Dang felt a profound sense of relief. Not only was he flush with cash, but he now knew how lucrative mech repair could be, giving him newfound confidence. "Now about our bet," Wang Dang said, returning the card to the man and turning to the golden stag. The golden stag hesitated for a moment. "I won't kneel or call you dad. What can't handle losing?" Wang Dang narrowed his eyes, a hostile glint in them. He had staked his own hands. He wouldn't let the other party weasel out so easily. Rosemary glanced from the golden stag to Wang Dang, her expression troubled. "Mr. Stag, since you've lost the bet, perhaps." 400000. "No calling dad, no kneeling," the golden stag said, staring straight ahead. "No way you think 400000 can buy you out." 800000. "No kneeling, no calling dad." Wang Dang's eyes flickered. "No, I'm set on having a son today." 1? 2 million? The golden stag ground his teeth as he spoke. "Deal." Wang Dang slapped his thigh, his voice brimming with excitement. "Are you sure you don't want Mr. Stag to kneel?" Rosemary asked uncertainly. After all, to a mech technician, 2 million was hardly a fortune. One should be lenient when possible. Besides, I'm not that stubborn, Wang Dang said, flashing a grin with a mouthful of white teeth. He couldn't help it, the man was offering too much. He didn't care about much, but he sure cared about money. "And there's a 150000 management fee. I'll transfer it all to you," the golden stag said, his tone as bitter as if he'd swallowed something foul. He hadn't earned a thing today and had lost 35 million instead. It would take him nearly a week to recoup that, maybe even 2 weeks if luck was against him. Once the transaction was complete, the golden stag retrieved his card and studied Wang Dang intently. "You've got skills, but some parts don't need repair. For instance, the connecting blocks in the mechanical arm. Replacing them costs only a few thousand star coins, while repairing them wastes a lot of time. A mech technician's time is valuable." With that, he pointed to the optical brain on his wrist, signaling Wang Dang to check the time, then turned and left. Wang Dang stood frozen in place. In his previous repair work, he had always opted to fix rather than replace parts to save costs. Today he had instinctively done the same. Wang Dang glanced at the time on his optical brain. It was already 3:30 am, and the blue-silver black market would close in half an hour. That meant he had spent roughly 5 hours repairing this mech. "If I had just replaced parts instead of repairing, I could have saved half the time," he muttered to himself. And that saved time could be used to repair another mech. At that thought, a wave of clarity washed over Wang Dang. Indeed, mech repair paid tens of times more than his previous job. So he couldn't apply the old cost-profit logic. From now on, time was also a cost. "Blue-silver black market welcomes exchanges and discussions among mech technicians," Rosemary said with a smile. "Welcome to blue-silver black market." She extended her right hand toward Wang Dang. Wang Dang reached out and gently shook her hand. "Thank you. Follow me, I'll take you to your exclusive repair bay." Rosemary twisted her willowy waist, turning and making a pleased gesture. Wang Dang looked back at the golden stag's repair bay before following her. Though the golden stag had been unpleasant earlier, he was generous. He had not only paid up readily but also pointed out Wang Dang's shortcomings. It seemed that not all outlaws lurking in the shadows of black markets were vicious villains. With the market about to close, Wang Dang stowed his toolkit in his exclusive repair bay and left blue-silver black market. Now that he had a way to make money, he planned to start modifying his own mech tomorrow to boost his strength. Then he would go and thrash that yellow hair. In the dead of night, Wang Dang scaled the wall and returned to the military academy. When he tiptoed back into the dormitory, he found the lights still on and everyone still awake. "Brother Wang, you're finally back." Monkey let out a long sigh of relief upon seeing Wang Dang. "Where did you go? We thought you went looking for trouble with that Jiao guy, we were so worried." Heiji patted his own chest. "Relax, I'm not that foolish, I wouldn't do something as reckless as walking into a trap." Wang Dang took off his clothes and hung them on the bedpost, finding it amusing. "It's rare to see you all up this late without gaming." Heiji clenched his fist and raised it with determination. After what happened last time with quit gaming. With that, he grabbed a simulation training helmet from the table, his face full of resolve. "We've decided to start from today, study hard and make progress every day. That's the spirit." Wang Dang immediately gave an admiring thumbs up. This simulation helmet was used to train the coordination between mecha warriors and their mechas. But Wang Dang possessed a spiritual power that mecha warriors lacked, so his natural compatibility with mechas was exceptionally high. The simulation helmet was of no use to him for now. What he needed now was to enhance his speed and combat strength to maximize the mecha's potential. After exchanging a few jokes with Monkey and the others, Wang Dang took a shower and lay in bed. After a moment's thought, he summoned the system in his mind. System, I want to draw cards. Wang Dang was desperate to grow stronger. Today the owner of the white mecha had taught him a lesson: without strength even your mecha gets bullied. Dear host, you currently have 4 draw opportunities remaining. How many would you like to draw? Go all in. Received. Drawing from the card pool. Congratulations, host. From this 4-card draw you have obtained 1 SSR card and 3 R cards. The 3 R cards are Dawn on Mecha Moon Shadow Movement Technique and 6 Harmony Spear Art. Among them, Dawn on Mecha requires a spiritual power level of A or above to unlock reading. The SSR card is a puzzle piece. Collecting all 3 puzzle fragments will unlock the mysterious treasure left by the Mecha Master, which contains the essential materials for crafting an SS-grade mecha. Current puzzle progress 13. Wang Dang felt a lump in his throat, unable to spit it out or swallow it, a sensation as frustrating as constipation. Let me guess, is your boss named Ma? Wang Dang rolled his eyes dramatically at the ceiling. This system is a creation of higher dimensions and has no boss. The system corrected Wang Dang's statement with great seriousness. Wang Dang sighed and exchanged the Moon Shadow Movement Technique and 6 Harmony Spear Art for use. At least he had drawn something he urgently needed. Yesterday, after entering the mecha, Wang Dang had embarrassingly realized he only knew the basic combo moves taught at Nancheng High School, completely clueless about any combat techniques. So the movement technique and spear art provided by the system were a timely relief. Though the system was often unreliable, it hadn't failed him this time. After choosing to exchange, the full contents of both techniques instantly appeared in Wang Dang's mind and he began practicing them mentally. The Moon Shadow Movement Technique emphasized speed like a fleeting shadow under the moon, making it impossible for enemies to predict and winning through swiftness. The 6 Harmony Spear Art, on the other hand, used a long spear as a weapon, focusing on unity between the internal and external, harmonizing the body with the spear to highlight its flexibility and practicality. Wang Dang silently absorbed these 2 manuals. If it weren't so late, he would have found a secluded corner to start practicing. The next morning, Wang Dang got up early and went to the school's training ground, renting an empty private training room to practice his newly learned techniques. Since he didn't have a suitable weapon yet, he simply pulled out an iron pipe and used it as a makeshift spear for practice. The placement exam was tomorrow, so he planned to train here all day, hoping to earn a spot in Class A. Though no matter how outstanding Class A was, it couldn't compare to the prodigies of Class S or SS. But Wang Dang refused to believe he would always fall short. The blatant discrimination at the Imperial Military Academy had fueled a silent rage within him since enrollment. No one helps me reach the clouds, so I'll tread through snow to the mountain peak. In the empty training room, no. 3 a black-haired youth piloted a pure black mecha, swinging an iron pipe over and over. It was as if he were holding a paintbrush, tracing his dreams again and again. When hungry, he paused to drink a nutrient solution. When tired, he collapsed on the ground to rest. It wasn't until nearly 7 in the evening that Wang Dang emerged from the mecha drenched in sweat. Though a full day of training made his body feel like it no longer belonged to him, he still didn't want to miss a chance to earn money. He had to pay back the library soon. After all, he had used my Xiaomai's card. If it were his own card, he might find an excuse to delay paying only when the deadline approached. Thinking of the massive debt he had unfairly incurred, Wang Dang gritted his teeth. Blondie, just you wait. After becoming a contracted mecha engineer at the Coliseum, Wang Dang gained many conveniences in the Lanyan black market. For example, he could buy everything in the black market store district at a discounted price. And he didn't even have to go himself, just list what he needed and the staff would purchase it for him. They would then deliver it to the engineer's private workshop. Though it was essentially paid labor, the management fee was negligible when buying materials in bulk. Today Wang Dang arrived early before the matches had started, so naturally there were no clients yet. He closed the workshop door and wrote out a list, planning to upgrade his mecha tonight to prepare for tomorrow's placement exam. The school-issued mecha came without a standard primary weapon, only a Starlight energy gun was hidden in the right arm. Using it once consumed 2/3 of the energy pool. That meant after firing it, the mecha would quickly run out of energy. A mecha drained of energy was no different from a pile of scrap metal. In combat, if a mecha's energy was depleted and no engineer was nearby, the pilot had no choice but to exit the cockpit and engage in hand-to-hand combat. After all, the enemy wouldn't give you a chance to leave the mecha and swap the energy core. The Starlight laser gun was a last resort, only to be used when certain of a one-hit kill. So Wang Dang needed to equip himself with a reliable primary weapon. Wang Dang spent 390000 star coins at the black market to acquire a large piece of mithril. He planned to forge a silver long spear from the mithril as his primary weapon for daily use. Having practiced the 6 Harmony Spear technique all day, he considered himself to have just scratched the surface. In the realm of weaponry, length confers an advantage, so Wang Dang was quite satisfied with his spear. The reason he chose mithril was its lightness and high strength, ensuring that even a spear entirely made of mithril would not be excessively cumbersome. Moreover, Mithril's strength and toughness were exceptional among metallic materials, alleviating concerns about the weapon being damaged during combat. Wang Dang picked up a star energy spray gun and began melting the Mithril before him. In his previous world, processing a metal with such strength and toughness would have been exceedingly difficult. However, in this world not only was there star energy but also highly advanced technology enabling Wang Dang to process the Mithril with effortless ease even alone. Once melted, the Mithril exhibited excellent ductility and soon the rough shape of a silver spear emerged. Wang Dang wiped the sweat from his face and focused on crafting his weapon. After the main body of the spear was roughly formed, Wang Dang applied a layer of star energy coating to the spearhead. This would make the tip sharper and harder, capable of piercing mech similarly coated with star energy. With his primary weapon complete, Wang Dang summoned his mech. He circled the pure black mech 3 times before seeming to make a resolute decision. He grabbed his tool, set up a ladder and began dismantling the mech with bold strokes. In no time a fully assembled mech was reduced to scattered parts. As expected of a mass-produced mech, many details are lacking. Wang Dang sighed. After disassembling this mech and comparing it with the previous Big White, he noticed numerous deficiencies. No wonder the mech issued by the school had such low stats. In this mech, Wang Dang could discern no sign of a mech engineer's dedication or ingenuity. Rather, it seemed like parts mass-produced by machines in a factory and then assembled. Even the internal components hadn't been finely calibrated. It was no wonder the stats were low. After drinking a nutrient solution and resting briefly, Wang Dang began reassembling the mech. First, he removed unnecessary weight, replacing all bulky, cheap internal parts. Next, he coated the underside of the mech's armor panels with spikethorn beast blood to enhance its toughness. Finally, Wang Dang used the remaining Mithril to craft a turbine blade concealed within the mech's left arm. It was also powered by a star energy battery but consumed far less energy than a laser gun. It could serve as a hidden secondary weapon. After assembling the entire mech, Wang Dang heard the system's prompt. Ding, congratulations host on completing a mech. The multiplier card is in effect. Congratulations host, triggered mobility stat doubling. Mobility before doubling 24. Mobility after doubling 48. Cumulative doubling chance reset. Hearing the system's notification, Wang Dang roughly understood that assembling a mech counted as completing one. It also indicated that there was a guaranteed trigger for 1 stat doubling. After building 5 mechs, 1 was certain to have a stat doubled. Doubling 2 or 3 stats, however, was purely luck-based. Having figured this out, Wang Dang felt a slight disappointment. He wished there was a guaranteed way to double 3 stats as well. But his disappointment lasted only a few seconds before he eagerly entered the mech to check its current stats. Defense 25. Mobility 48. Firepower 22. Compared to before the modification, there were slight improvements. Given the mech's base stats, modifications could only optimize certain aspects. For a significant stat boost, he would have to build a new mech from scratch. However, Wang Dang lacked the ability to complete a design blueprint for now, so he had to make do with this mech. Thanks to the multiplier card, this mech's mobility was now approaching that of an A-class mech. Although it appeared to be a medium mech, its mobility surpassed even that of light mechs of the same grade, much to Wang Dang's satisfaction. Initially, he had replaced those bulky parts to enhance mobility and close combat capability. Unexpectedly, his luck turned exceptional, doubling the mobility stat. It was now past 1 a.m. and several rounds of arena matches had concluded, yet the repair area remained eerily quiet. This puzzled Wang Dang. He stored the modified mech and spear into his mech necklace, then opened the door and stepped out. The repair area was silent while the preparation area was bustling with activity. Golden Stag, are you there? Wang Dang called out, knocking on a repair bay door. The door he knocked on remained unresponsive, but the opposite door opened. In here? Sorry, I mixed them up. Wang Dang withdrew his hand from the door and pretended to be busy adjusting his white mask. Are you here to settle the material fee? Golden Stag's tone was flat. I've already listed the bill. Hearing this, regret immediately welled up in Wang Dang's heart. Why did he have to come knocking on his own accord? But having come this far, Wang Dang could only brace himself and admit, yeah, just give me the list. Golden Stag glanced at Wang Dang and gestured for him to follow inside. Total is 42538. Why is the repair area so empty today? No one came to fix their mechs. Wang Dang took the list and asked casually. Crimson Moon didn't show up today. The other fighters were restrained and their mechs suffered no major damage. Crimson Moon. That's the one who wrecked Big White last time. Wang Dang clicked his tongue. He's pretty ruthless. Crimson Moon is the name of his mech, Golden Stag explained. He is indeed ruthless, but we mech engineers love him. Wang Dang's face immediately showed understanding. It was precisely this kind of ruthlessness that brought orders to them, the mech engineers. If every day was filled with fighters signing non-aggression pacts for their mechs, wouldn't the mech engineers starve? Will Crimson Moon come tomorrow? Wang Dang asked the question, weighing on his mind. Who knows? Golden Stag shrugged. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next year. Or maybe has moved on and will never come back. The next morning, the 4 residents of Dormitory 222 rose early. I hope we all end up in the same class, said Luo Depang, stretching his limbs as he put on the newly issued combat uniform. You and Brother Wang are definitely getting into Class A, but Heiji and I. I'm not so sure, Monkey said with a grimace. Don't be so disheartened. Heiji came over and wrapped an arm around Monkey's shoulders. We'll all make it into Class A. Let's go, Wang Dang said, already fully prepared. He was clad in a form-fitting black combat suit and leather combat boots, his slender figure appearing impeccably neat and sharp. I swear you and Heiji are born clothes horses, Monkey said enviously to Wang Dang. They all wore the same standard black combat uniform, yet Wang Dang and Heiji looked like officers ready for the battlefield. Why did he and Luo Depang look like they belonged in the army's kitchen? I've been poor and down on my luck, but I've never been ugly, Wang Dang said, striking a smug pose with his thumb and forefinger on his chin. Well, buddy, I've just never been thin, Luo Depang replied, humorously patting his ample belly. The four of them bantered and jostled their way to the open square in front of the warrior faculty's teaching building. The day's placement exams were to be held there. Two instructors in dark green military uniforms were already standing at the front of the square organizing the crowd. Welcome to the Blue Star branch of the Imperial Military Academy. A bearded instructor at the forefront addressed the assembled new students. I'm Instructor Ross. I know that every one of you here is among the best from your respective cities, or else you wouldn't have qualified for the Blue Star branch. But don't think for a moment that entering the Blue Star branch means smooth sailing for the rest of your lives. Anyone foolish enough to think that had better abandon that idiotic notion immediately. Today marks a pivotal point in how you will study and live here. It will determine whether you enter Class A to compete with the elites or end up in Class C just coasting through. Everything depends on your performance today. I will now announce the specifics of the placement exam. Instructor Ross began explaining the details to the students. Meanwhile, the new students below began whispering among themselves. As if Class A is any different from just coasting along. Aren't they just stepping stones for the local students? Ah. Who can blame us for not being born into a better lot? We're still relatively lucky. I heard about a midnight raid on the sophomores last year. Some unlucky ones had their mechas wrecked. I wonder how they'll take the exam today. Amidst the murmurs, the placement exam soon commenced. The exam was conducted as a series of 2 vs 2 battles testing cooperation and combat skills. The examiners would select those who performed exceptionally well for Class A. Wang Dang drew the number 1 spot on his first try and was to team up with number 2 against numbers 3 and 4. After drawing his number, he followed the directions to Battle Room 1 inside the teaching building. Hey, are you number 1? A frail young man limped over dark circles under his eyes, looking as if he had been injured a few days prior. You wouldn't happen to be number 2, would you? Wang Dang raised an eyebrow. The young man rubbed his hands together sheepishly. You guessed it. Wang Dang was momentarily speechless. The young man before him seemed lame and still bore injuries. Then the young man dropped another bombshell. My mecha was totaled a few days ago. Wang Defa. Wang Dang couldn't help but curse. How do you know my name? Wang Defa exclaimed, both surprised and delighted. Do you know me? Cough cough. Wang Dang choked on his own saliva, coughing repeatedly. He was beginning to seriously doubt his luck. How was your mecha destroyed? Knowing that his chances in this exam were likely doomed, Wang Dang decided to chat with Wang Defa. It was a few nights ago when that group raided our dorm. A blonde guy insulted my family and I couldn't hold back. Wang Defa's anger flared up again as he recalled that night, pointing to his right leg and the bruise under his eye. This is what they gave me that night. Wang Dang had heard from Luo Depang that a few of the more aggressive new students had their mechas destroyed and were beaten up. Wang Defa was clearly one of them. After hearing Wang Defa's story, Wang Dang felt a little better. At least there were people worse off than him. Just then the door to Battle Room 1 opened and 2 tall young men walked in with a female instructor. They moved to the opposite preparation area and almost in unison summoned their mechas. The mechas they summoned were clearly not the cheap school-issued models. One was a blackened heavy mecha lacking in mobility but strong in defense and firepower. The mecha's arm was as thick as 2 arms of a standard mecha, clearly hiding numerous weapons. The other was a purple light mecha, highly agile and suited for close quarters combat. Wang Dang slapped his forehead. This was truly a disaster. A combination of light and heavy mechas, the light one for close quarters fighting the heavy one for fire suppression, was a perfect pairing. On his side, the 2 of them only had 1 mecha. Number 1, number 2, please summon your mechas. The exam begins in 3 minutes. The female instructor looked expressionlessly at Wang Dang's side. Wang Dang sighed softly and summoned his own modified pure black mecha. He had originally planned to use the mecha Luo Depang had given him if he had a strong teammate. After all, his own mecha's mobility was now on par with an A-class mecha, but its exterior had no modification, so he wanted to avoid attracting unnecessary attention. But now he had no choice but to give it his all. Furthermore, the exam rules clearly stated that students could only use their own mechas, and borrowing from others would result in immediate expulsion from both the academy and the military. Wang Dang didn't even have a chance to lend a mecha to his teammate. Number 2, where is your mecha? The female instructor glanced disdainfully at Wang Dang's mecha before turning to Wang Defa. Instructor, I don't have a mecha? Wang Defa lowered his head, fidgeting nervously. As soon as he said this, numbers 3 and 4 across the room burst into laughter. Indeed, a mecha warrior without a mecha was utterly ridiculous. Hey buddy, why don't you just put your mecha away? We don't want to bully you. Number 3 snapped his fingers at Wang Dang, sneering. Yeah, it's just your bad luck. No one will doubt your courage as a warrior. Number 4 seemed eager to watch the spectacle. Number 4 seemed to relish the drama.